Richard Hart here in my brand new Rolls-Royce Cullinan Black that I paid 700,000 euros for, wearing my $1 million Daytona Rainbow. Look at that. Hello everybody, Richard Hart here with my $6,250 Louis Vuitton jacket, my $250,000.
Richard Hart here, $1 million lot, that's Dom Perignon, and just got the last Dom Perignon.
Everybody, Richard Hart here in my $3,000 Valentino Rockstud purse, my $3,000 Prada jacket. We're calling the Bitcoin top on the day and the bear market. I bought this Chanel purse to hold my Rolls Royce key. Fancy Chanel. It's very hard to open. Open! Everybody, Richard Hart here in my $3,000 Valentino Rolls Royce key and a 700,000 euro brand new Rolls Royce. That baller. You just got balled on, boy. You're nothing compared to me. Bring me your girl, dog. Let me get it.
I'm sure you're aware about the situation regarding the SEC issuing subpoenas to Hex influencers. They themselves have received letters, as well as the Hex Investment Trust, and they've got together a legal team.
We are going after a full-on declarative statement from the SEC that Hex is not a security.
Senor Tom, I don't like it here. Can we leave now, please? I have to be home.
Yeah, okay, Tomo, mate. Just keep rolling the camera, okay?
Tom, mate, there are 4 types of people left in that world out there, okay? Each a little closer to decentralizing themselves than the last. The first type, the sheeple, are blissfully unaware of what's happening. They rely largely on centralized platforms and carry out their duties both at home and at work on largely the same corporate-owned platforms. Because that's what they know, and it's comforting for them to have a predictability in their online life. The second kind of person is curious about Web 3.0 and has some prior knowledge that they probably picked up from the mainstream media, but for whatever reason they lack the motivation to look any further. They can often be seen complaining online, but very few actually engage anything meaningful for their community. I call these people the cats of Windsor. The third type of person, Tom, is you.
Actually, Senor Bitman 360, I think I'm more of a sheeple person.
Not you, Tomo. You, Tom, have begun to decentralize yourself through your investigation into me, and that is a very big step from the previous types of people. Now you are decentralized right now, existing only here in Cryptopia, while your meatbag body out there in the analog world sits helpless awaiting you to return. You, Tom, I count as one of the decentralized, only you haven't yet fully realized it.
Hold up, mate. I'm not decentralized at all.
The fourth and final type of person is those that have committed to the metaverse almost entirely. Short of what they must fulfill to their government legally in the analog world, they operate entirely in the metaverse, leaving the analog world largely behind. These people are the first truly decentralized people, and they dwell only here in the metaverse. They recognize no state, no borders, and no currencies. They live independently amongst others and interact with whomever they wish, wherever and whenever they wish. The metaverse allows for such uninhibited playful interactions to be had without the necessity of a corporate overlord being present.
But isn't this place owned by Facebook?
Well, yeah.
So where does that leave you then? Not exactly decentralized, is it?
Well, look, it's a work in progress, okay? A proof of concept. There's an ambition to become fully decentralized over time.
And which concept does it prove?
Well, it proves that people want to decentralize themselves. I mean, you saw how many people arrived at today's congregation. Just because we're doing it in VR chat doesn't make it any less valuable.
VR chat is owned by Facebook. The goggles you have on are probably also. So from where I'm
Look,
sitting,
Tom,
it looks pretty
the
centralised.
MOD was never going to be decentralised from day one. Instead, we have an ambition to become fully decentralised by 2050.
2050, that's like 30 years away, mate.
Well, yeah, but, you know, these things take time, Tom. Especially if we don't want to leave anybody behind, like the sheeple, for example.
You can leave me behind. I don't mind. I don't really like the
Look, mate, the
decentralization
industry
idea,
is
to be
still in
honest.
its infancy. There is a lot of testing going on by a lot of smart motherfuckers across many different platforms. Which platforms will win is anybody's guess. I'm not even sure there will be a winner.
There's always a winner, you idiot. When money is involved, there's always a winner.
True. Richard's winning.
Richard
Hart. He invented Hex.
Hex?
Hex, mate. Just the fastest appreciating asset in crypto 3 years in a row. Launched by the most charismatic crypto influencer in crypto
I haven't
today.
heard of it.
For fuck's sake. Come with me. Tom, mate, I can't believe you haven't heard of Hex. Mate, you're going to fucking love it.
Senor Tom! Senor
So
Tom!
basically, mate, you just got to jump off here.
Are you fucking kidding me? Where does that even go to?
Yeah, don't be shy, mate. That's the way to Hexacode City.
Oh well, fuck it.
People that helped make that bubble, then wrote it down to 1, and then sat through a bunch of bubbles after, and came out publicly to defend my investment when I saw Ethereum was overtaking the market cap.
Tom, mate.
Senor Tom,
So,
I think we should
What do
go
you
home.
reckon?
telling
This
people
color
not to buy
scheme
Ethereum,
is not healthy for
and
my
Pretty
eyes.
sick, right?
theirs because they were gonna
Senor Tom, I think we should
Oh,
go home.
fucking
This
hell,
color
what fun
scheme is
is
not
it?
healthy for my eyes.
Not the same as
Tom, mate,
Bitcoin.
I'm needed at an auction. Come with.
Because
Tom, mate, I'm fucking late. Sorry, guys. I was onboarding a noob. This is Tom Gillespie.
Can you hear me?
Say hi.
Oh,
I'm also being onboarded, Senor Tom.
hi.
Certainly looks that way, mate.
But I don't want to be onboarded, Senor Tom.
Welcome, Lady Hexicans and gentlemen Hexicans, to this week's land drop. Straight from Hexaco City, a reminder, when you buy property in Hexaco, you are effectively sacrificing your bags, as we do not claim any of this shit as real and or considered an investment. It's extremely easy for anybody to fork this world, and with it, all the assets and so your bags, making the entire process decentralized only in name. But you don't care about that, do you? Because we're all getting loaded in the short term, so fuck the long term, unless you're already staked for 5555. And in that case, best of luck to you and your families. Now, on with the auction. Our first property under the hammer today is this wonderful tower, made from over 60 billion pixels, comprised of 43 floors of unfurnished office space. This is the perfect place to start an incubator for the development.
Tom, Senor, what are we doing here?
Investigating.
Investigating what?
I'm not sure yet.
Perhaps we should investigate Hex.
500, 550, 600, 600, 600, 600, 700.
Because I can brighten up your day. And when you're feeling sad, I put a smile on your face. You can tell me what price must I pay to make you see my outrage. Come into my life, I got so much love to show you. Come into my life, boy, I adore you. Come into my life, I got so much love to show you.
Respect for the guy.
Cool, Tomo.
That decentralized community.
I think I even still have respect for him. I just
It's just a scammer, that's all. He's like a
Hello, senor.
Tomo, mate.
Yes,
How you going? How's life?
It's okay. My mother has
Great, great. Listen, mate. You remember our little escapades in Hexaco City a few months back? The hands of that whimsical little cunt Batman 360.
Yes, senor Tom. Mexico City.
Great. Well, listen. I want to go ahead and investigate that project.
Okay, senor Tom.
Yeah, the last one got axed by 60 minutes at the last minute. Something to do with talking about the karaoke wife swap of Tara Brown. Apparently it wasn't supposed to be made public.
60 minutes axed our first investigation.
But what do you reckon? You up for it?
Yes, senor Tom.
Great.
Senor Tom, when will this production commence?
Yeah, no, I've already started actually. I staked Hex.
Staked Hex?
Whatever that bloody means.
We will have to return to Hexico City because I really don't like.
Yeah, all right, listen, mate.
It gave me headache for days.
I'm actually on my way over to you right now, so I'll be with you in 5 minutes, okay?
Like lies, no utility, and he did it with such confidence.
The only regret I have with Richard Hart is that I didn't realize he was from Florida sooner, because he really is the classic Florida confidence man archetype. They have this kind of presentation that I see very evident in Richard Hart. Something about that act comes out of Florida.
Call them a cult or call them fans. These followers of Hex cryptocurrency from Richard Hart, real name Richard Schuler, are fanatical about their support. With many new millionaires, it's going way too fast. Slow that shit down. How's it going fast? Still going fast, for fuck's sake. Cryptocurrency from Richard Hart, real name Richard Schuler, are fanatical about their support. That was terrible. Are absolutely fanatical about their support. Christ's sake, fucking fifth time lucky. Call them a cult or call them fans. A great man once said, time is money. Another not so well-known man said, it's not about having time or finding time, it's about making time. I forget their names now, but nobody ever remembers their stuff anyway. But so then, how do we value our time? How can we put a monetary value on time? Whose time is money? Is everyone's time worth the same? If the love of money is the root of all evil, and time is money, is the love of time also evil? Enlighten us, tell us a little bit about what's going on with your son's position in the cryptocurrency space.
Well, first of all, I have to remember my son is 18 years old, so he's not, he's never actually had a job.
The various scootering crimes going on in the dark market, what are your thoughts on how that might unfold going forward?
It's just like the things. Yeah. This always gets like the crypto people angry, but I think there are transactions that are not within the bounds of the law.
If time is the ultimate currency, then it appears Hexicans are already the wealthiest people on the planet. Now this begs the question, where is this time money made? How much of it is there to go around? And can I also join the ranks of Hexicans and become one of the wealthiest persons in history?
A legitimate alternative to fiat paper currency, real digital currency, stable, that can act as a medium of exchange and a unit of account and a store of value, and that solves all of these problems, which is what a real cryptocurrency backed by gold would do, that the government would probably not tolerate.
Okay, right, okay. Well, let's leave it there. Thank you very much, Peter Schiff, and good luck with your investing in old heavy metals that have been dug out of the ground by children in Africa.
And there are obviously many laws in different countries, and normally cash is used for these transactions. But in order for illegal transactions to occur, cash must also be used for legal transactions. You need an illegal to legal bridge.
Widely despised and often dismissed by the wider cryptocurrency community, Hex is arguably the most hated cryptocurrency on the market, being frequently labelled a scam even before its inception in 2019. Is this down to the founder being so vocal about the industry's problems with centralisation? Or is it possibly true that Hex is in fact set to become the fastest appreciating asset on Earth?
If you go to a website and it talks about price, people have been habituated to believe that that is a scam.
I made Uniswap popular, personally. Me. I carried them on my fucking back.
Are you just trolling everyone? I mean, you're scamming everyone. Let's not pretend it's anything else.
Okay.
I mean, this is a scam.
Holy fuck. I know this is going to be hard for you to get educated, which is how you ended up in the apathetic, unintelligent place that you are now. But if you're quiet for long enough, I can make you smarter.
My buddy, he watches Richard and he's like, oh, this is a great thing. This latest video is his. And where he talks about nothing.
Everyone is not going to win. Everyone is not going to win. A lot of people are going to lose.
Why must cryptocurrency be so confusing?
Because cryptocurrencies are so dishonest that they pretend the price doesn't exist. If you go to bitcoin.org, they don't talk about the price.
Do you know who was the majority of Uniswap's liquidity for months? Hex. Yeah. So bow down and fucking respect, because you only know about it because I made it popular.
Are you a Mensa? I'm a Mensa.
Well, so what?
I've got literal scientific proof that I'm smart. Where's yours?
And tell me what the fuck is up with this bullshit you're fucking selling.
You need to look at whether they're telling the truth or not. And like, my point is, this looks like a scam until you look into it.
Okay, so you're openly admitting now this is designed for a lot of people to lose.
They don't talk about the only thing anyone actually cares about.
I don't need you to make me smarter.
You know.
I think I'm smarter than you, so let's just
I know you
do.
That's how every speculative instrument works in the history of mankind. Human beings think things are worth a lot, and then they think they're worth a little, and then they think they're worth a lot. If anybody guarantees you a return, run.
Honestly, mate, I think it's utterly pathetic that what you're doing to people, but go ahead. I am going to block you now.
Dude, do you know what work is?
The nominees for Best New Scam are...
Do whatever you think is best for you. I built something amazing, okay? If you think it's amazing, come play along.
When you need clear answers, go to Richard Hart. The smartest man in crypto, Richard Hart.
Hello, people. It's a beautiful, beautiful evening in Uasin Gishu. I have a friend who is a Hexican. He's going to introduce himself and tell us what's up.
People are talking about Hex and Richard Hart's little scam with filling up empty blocks.
Hex by Richard.
I'm behind the scenes. Yeah. I think when you mention you're behind the scenes, aondoitwanga wazito tu kipulani, au sio?
When I tell him, like, look, you're a scammer because you have bags and you're going to sell them to somebody who's going to pay more than you paid for them. It's as simple as that.
Hex. And the winner is Hex.
How many units of Hex were you given?
I can't tell my own because now security reasons.
I can only do the best I can do, right? I show you the data, I show you the facts, I present you to the real world. You do your own computation.
Richard knows his crypto stuff. Crypto Smart with Richard Hart.
Richard Hart, you're a fucking scammer just like everybody else. And I'm gonna make a video about it because you actually will never forget me. Motherfuck.
Welcome to Hexaco.
Aruba, Jamaica, oh, I wanna stake ya. Bermuda, Bahama, my pretty t-shirts, Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go Jamaica, off the Florida Keys.
So it's precisely 6:30 in the morning here, and I had an interview scheduled with a young man called Matty Allen from Hex Therapy Live, but he's just dropped me a message at the last moment suggesting that he's not gonna. He basically said, I think I need to reschedule due to unforeseen issues. He's not going to turn up today, so I thought maybe we'll just have a quick look at one of his latest videos. And this video is called Why We Love High Fees, with a Hex Therapy Matty all in.
What stops double spends, but it's also what allows, right, the code to meet the humans, right? Where Bitcoin is having the code meet the humans is through burning way too much electricity and having centralized exchanges be in charge of everything. Why do you think all the crypto news that I don't pay attention to, and you shouldn't either, it's all talking about regulation right now? What do you mean, like, this is crypto. Crypto...
Yeah, how's it going?
Crypto is DeFi. Crypto is Hex. I don't hear anybody talking about regulation.
He hasn't turned up.
I mean,
yeah, I know.
How are you going to regulate?
I got a strange feeling they're just fucking with us.
It's easy enough to regulate Bitcoin when it trades.
Keep sending us suggestions, and then these people don't even bloody turn up. Yeah, I know. Have you? Yeah. Call them a cult or call them fans. These followers of the Hex cryptocurrency from Richard Hart, real name Richard Schuler, are absolutely fanatical about their support. With many new millionaires in their ranks, according to their digital wallets at least, I, Tom Gillespie, better known for investigating the Scooter Coin Con from the Fakefluencer movie, aim to find out the truth behind this controversial system. Although widely ridiculed within the cryptocurrency industry, on the surface, Richard appears to have minted numerous new millionaires via his Hex system, leading to him becoming a king amongst his people. Are you a Hexican? Or maybe you think they're scamsters and their leader Richard spreads lies to manipulate novices into buying into their version of Cryptopia. I'm Tom Gillespie, crypto scamdemic investigator, and I've been invited to take a trip down the Hex rabbit hole to find out. G'day everyone, Tom Peter Gillespie here, crypto scamdemic investigator. I'm now on Cameo, and I'm more than happy to take your requests, as long as you don't use any profanities or investment advice, financial advice, etc. I'm happy to work with you and deliver a message to those who you care about most.
Tom Gillespie is doing an investigation into Hex to find out if it's a scam or not. So if you see any Hex haters that are willing to actually go on record and have a conversation with Tom, send them there. In fact, anybody that wants to talk smack about Hex, make sure you say, tell your story to Tom Gillespie.
Hello?
No audio coming through, mate. I can hear you now. Can see you perfectly fine, just can't hear you yet. And now I can see you.
I can't hear you. You can't hear me.
Can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah, can you hear me?
Still no audio coming through.
Yeah. Is my lighting looks like really washed out.
Yeah, it's a bit overblown. Oh, you're muted. It's still kind of blown out on this side. What camera have you got rolling?
Smart video.
How you going?
Can you hear me, everyone?
I can hear you, loud and clear.
I can't hear you.
As you can see, I've set up a little bit of a studio here. Did a bit of experimenting with the lighting. Of course, I've got this camera here shooting directly onto the other the participant, the interviewee, because I don't want to pay for the pro version of Zoom.
My name's Emmanuel. In the Hex community, I go by the name Tangent.
All right, when I first found Hex, I was really just looking to swing trade crypto. Other than my Crypto.com stakes, I was like, maybe I can play around with a few bucks, buy low, sell high.
My name is Tim Benjamin, and I live in the United States, and I've been involved with Hex since day one.
I approached it as a skeptic, like yourself. I've seen a lot of stuff in the crypto space fail, and a lot of anonymous rug pulls, et cetera,
Richard Hart, has basically said that it can go very high, this coin. And usually when Richard speaks, I listen and he's usually right.
When I was watching like Richard's previous videos, he started talking about he was coming out with Hex. So I was back in the Telegram groups way before Hex even came out, and they were calling it like, oh, it's going to be called Bitcoin Hex.
I really had to look into this thing because it just seemed like, too good to be true. And in most cases, things that are too good to be true usually are. The key word being usually.
If this all plays out the way it will play out, all of us Hexicans have a lot of money.
When I read it and understand like just the website and like how it works and the interest and the daily interest and the staking, like I just thought, wow, this is genius. Like this actually makes so much sense.
The more I dug and the deeper I got, the more I realized that, this is something that is actually revolutionary.
And I know money's not the answer to happiness, but it sure does change your life. Especially, there's a lot of us in the community who've grown up without having a lot of money. Still, we're all wage slaves, working 9 to 5. But I think I know about at least 15 Hexicans who have retired thanks to Hex. They've quit their day job.
When it did come out, it was already working right away. You could stake right away. You could, it was already working. You could see the interest right away. So compared to any other project out there that was not a product and not complete, this was something that was like, this is it. This is the crypto that you want to have.
And it made sense because it was designed by a guy who already saw all the problems with the crypto space and saw that the crypto space is really kind of heading down a dark tunnel, and saw the need for you not to have the tragedy of the commons, to actually be able to participate in the network and not be excluded, based on your income.
Right, yeah, so I'll just have a look now, hang on. I'm looking at the gas. The gas prices look pretty damn good right now, actually. $5. Yeah, that's pretty damn good considering what I've been looking at. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna do it now. Alright. G'day everyone. Tom Gillespie here. Tom Peter Gillespie, actually. Crypto Scamdemic investigator. So if you've been following along, you'll know that now I am heading down the rabbit hole known as Hex. Creator Richard Hart has built a very, very engaged community that go by the name of Hexicans, and they dwell in a place called Hexico. One thing that has come up in discussion with the production company is that there is something called staking, and you park Hex, the currency, in a smart contract, and then the longer you leave it there, the better the interest over time. So I'll put $500 in for 1 year. So let's hop in and I'll show you the process of how I staked my Hex. So I'll just open my MetaMask wallet, and I'm going to proceed to stake my Hex, which I have received from the production company. They sent me $500 worth of Hex, which, if I have a look here, I've got to connect the wallet to the website here before I can actually proceed. How do I do that now? Looks like it's synchronizing now. Yeah. Okay, so now I can see my balance there. Okay, so let's go and have a look. I'm going to stake the whole $500, which here it suggests is 13,000 hex. I don't know. I'm assuming that's correct. So do you know what? Fuck it. We'll put a year in, 365 days, and I'm going to go ahead and stake that. So this commitment of 13,000 hex is throughout the investigatory period is going to show that I'm committed and I'm sticking around. I'm not fucking about. Let's have a look at it on Etherscan. Oh, it's not actually even there. What does that mean? Oh wait, hang on. Okay, now it's gone through. Okay, success. Excellent. Hang on a fuck. What the fuck? That's not $500. That's nearly $5,000 into a black hole, no less. What the fuck have I just done? I better give the production company a ring. Fucking hell.
G'day, Moritz. I've got a message to you from Buttfucks. Sorry, Futbucks. Hex is going to zero, and as much as you like to believe you're one step ahead of Richard, it's not the case, mate. The green lines will turn to red eventually, and you'll be caught in the crossfires. Good luck to you, mate. I'm looking forward to seeing how my stake unfolds as well as yours.
My parents aren't dead yet, but they probably will die soon. I haven't done much for them. My dog will die, and then I'll die. And at what point do you realize this money shit, it's not changing that much? You've been saying that how much you're watching the same movies. What are you doing with the money? Spend it on the research to save your fucking life. That's the next step. Like all this crypto stuff is great, but it's not truly saving lives. Medical research, bro, so that's my next project. That's why I read the free books I wrote called Sci-Fi, like how you can survive through science. Basically tells you how to do everything, how to get rich, how to get laid, how to learn better, everything that I know is in the book. It's free. Just go to t.me/sci-fi, link it down there. And there's another book I wrote called Fix the World, which is more political stuff that you can't personally do, but matters. Right? It's just systematic stuff. Educational system, political system. How can we fix those systems? Most people can't move the levers to fix those things, but someone can. So maybe that knowledge will get to those people. A blockchain is an extremely bad database. Sometimes you can't write to it. Sometimes what you write to it gets forked off and disappears. It's extremely slow. Bitcoin does 3 or 4 transactions a second. It's extremely expensive. It's extremely wasteful. If you want the slowest, shittiest database in the world, use a blockchain.
So there's this really negative history of what people call promise coins and other shit coins, where they say this same thing Hex does with price appreciation. Oh, this coin will make you a millionaire. So they don't believe it when they hear it, and then when they look at it, they don't understand it. It really scares them. And I think it's easier to believe that Hex is a scam than it is to understand how the T-share system works. If you're invested in a lot of other things and people pay you to get advice on how to trade, a coin that is specifically designed to stop trading pretty much works against your entire business model. I think a lot of people profit off of traders losing money, and Hex is designed to stop that. So there's a large market that doesn't want Hex to be legit, even though it is.
I think it is difficult, if not impossible, to prove 100% that something is or isn't a scam. So we're always within this gray area, not knowing for sure. Even with something like Bitcoin, we don't know, we can't prove with 100% certainty that it is not a scam. I think the reason you've had difficulty getting people to come forward and express what they don't like about Hex or why they believe Hex is a scam is because they haven't done deep enough research into it to even be able to mount an argument concisely and effectively against Hex. And I believe that people within the Hex community, particularly someone like Richard, would actually be best placed to give you the argument for why it's not perfect, sort of to highlight the imperfections or things that are less than ideal.
I'd like to touch on the subject of maximalism. The term maximalism did not start to enter the space until if I remember correctly, until like at least a year or two after the fact. And that's because there were altcoins that came into existence almost from the get-go, because Charlie Lee started forking Bitcoin right away. Litecoin came out in 2000. I think it was already in existence by 2011. I considered myself a wannabe Bitcoin maximalist, but the fact is I never could go there in my mind because I wasn't a miner. I just didn't have the hardware necessary to get involved in mining. Even back in 2011, I just didn't have the money to buy video cards. And so in that sense, I never could really go all the way with the whole maximalist mindset because I wasn't actually producing the thing that I was so into. But for me, if I'm not producing Bitcoin, I don't have a real reason to be a maximalist. So these people who go online with this arrogant attitude that Bitcoin is the only legitimate crypto, if they're not producing it, they really don't have a leg to stand on. And it turns that attitude into a turnoff. And this is what has resulted in us Hexicans coming up with terms like Furu and coming against these people because they came against us first. Hex was designed to benefit Bitcoin people. And, we didn't come out of the gate swinging fists and coming against people and saying, you all suck because you're not in Hex. Nobody had that attitude at the beginning. And I don't even know very many people that have that attitude now because we do not have a chip on our shoulder. People would say, well, you're Hex maximalists. Well, yeah, I'm fully invested in Hex. And yes, I'm involved in producing it as a staker. But I'm not coming against other people saying you all suck because you're not in Hex. I believe Hex is a net benefit for the whole world, and that's why I promote it, and that's why I'm into it, and that's why I defend it. Come at people with facts, not with attitude. That's what I would like to see. And if you incorporate that into your documentary, I would like to see you to address that subject too, because as crypto, we do have one common goal, and that is to provide the world with something better than institutionalized systems of fiat, like the Federal Reserve and the Bank of England, the Bank of International Settlements, all these institutions where the people outside of those institutions do not have a voice in how those institutions operate.
My investigation is obviously unfolding online at the same time, and I have had a bit of a dilemma getting hold of the opposition, if you like. But let's wrap it up there then, Timothy, because I actually have another meeting coming up very shortly, and also the Zoom here says that it's running out of time.
I don't know what kind of world this is where people think that an anonymous founder is safer than somebody who is actually proud of what they built. I don't get this, right? An anonymous person can just jump, pull that rug and go, right? See, if people are actually proud of what they build, they want to be recognized for it, right? I'm an artist. I build things. I like to look at things and go, I made that. I understand this concept. When people are trying to tell me that an anonymous founder that has no interest in claiming any responsibility for what they built is safer than somebody that's actually proud of what they built, I have to say they're delusional, right? So number one, I'm going to look for, is this founder known? What is this guy's track record? You know how many people in the crypto space are criminals that are actually criminals that you can look up and find that they have a criminal track record, yet they produce coins? People don't look into that. That's why people use anonymous names. That's why people don't want to be known, right? They don't want you to see their face because they have shit to hide. Richard is right out there in the open. He is taking all the punches. He's taking all the shots. He's willing to stand up with anybody and interview anybody and address their concerns right there live, in person, no script, no nothing. Who does that? Who is willing to do that? A person that has nothing to hide. This is why you're having so much trouble finding someone that's going to stand by and say, well, Hex is a scam because. Number one, they haven't researched it. Number two, they don't have any material to present you. They know they don't have any material to present you.
You know, are these people just not educated, which is mostly true, somewhat true. They just don't understand. Is it cult mentality? Is it crypto cult mentality? Because there's a lot of nastiness in crypto, especially on Twitter. I believe that the lack of education is causing people to take on this cult mentality where if they don't understand something, they're just going to say, oh, that must be a scam because it's not on my exchange. I can't see it. It's not on CoinMarketCap. Look at the market supply. It's huge. It's not even listed correctly on CoinMarketCap. The correct listing is on nomics.com, and it always has been on nomics.com. CoinMarketCap are too lazy to draw a basically live update because of the staking, and they don't want to count a certain part of the supply. So they have it listed at number 201. Yet Yahoo Finance has got it listed as number 3, and they pull their data from CoinMarketCap. If you look at Etherscan also, you'll see that Hex is in the correct position at number 3. So Etherscan is basically the boss. Like, that tells you the exact data. So any normal person, educated person will say, well, if Etherscan is saying number 3, it's a goddamn number 3. And you know what I noticed about a lot about the Hex community? They're all very open-minded, individual, outgoing people like Richard Hart. They think for themselves. They're independent. They have big personalities. And they're not nasty. You know, they've all got, there's one thing that I see all across the board. The Hexicans really want to help people. They want to change the world, you know. But you have got the other side of it. And, you know, Hexicans battled from day one. You know, the hate that Richard Hart received, the hate that the Hexicans received. And you will see in his videos, even his early videos, he'll tell you straight out, something's a scam, don't touch it. He'll say that. He's for the people. He's genuine. And I think there's a lot of people that aren't, like, you know, your Sonny Decrees, your Ivan on Text, like, and there's a lot more, your Eric Walls. They're not genuine, nice people. And, you know, they're all about the money, and their attitude really stinks. You know, they're all real pump and dumpers. Like, I've heard some horrible stories about them, you know, getting on their channel and, you know, pumping these shit coins where they might have got in before everyone else. All their 200,000 whatever followers see that. That bumps the price up, and then they sell out.
At first, I mean, it kind of sucked because you're promoting something that you actually believe in and is actually working. And when you know Richard, you see he's like a good person, genuinely wants to help people. And when everyone else is calling it a scam and you're trying to, you know, onboard your friends and family and they don't really want to hear about it, like, that sucks because you know they're missing out on such a good opportunity. And especially now to see like the crazy gains, like, I wish people listened to me earlier. It doesn't really matter anymore. It's like the people who call it a scam and the influencers who just talked bad about Richard, it's their loss and they can't catch up to us now.
But unfortunately, as usual, Tommy's nowhere to be bloody seen. We definitely need a new audio, a new sound guy to make this work, really. No, I appreciate that. No, he's trying to get the fucking aeroplane. Here's an aeroplane now. Yeah. No, he's doing a pretty good job. He's doing all right, actually. He's doing really good. But about the budget for the red wine fed cow meat. No, it's Chinese. I think it's from Huangshe. G'day everyone, Tom Gillespie here. I have just arrived on location in Florida, and I've got Tomo back there setting up his camcorder stuff, and we are here to look for Richard Hart because I was listening to a podcast recently and I understand that he is actually from Florida, so I took it upon myself to come out here with Tomo, try to knock some doors and see if we can't figure out where this cunt lives. Now, this is a pretty place, isn't it, Tomo? I can imagine there's a lot of crypto enthusiasts live around here. That would be fair to say, right? There's a constant waft of dope in the air as well. Have you noticed? No, I'm close by now. I'm fairly confident he lives around here somewhere. I think what's this place called again, Tomo? What's it called?
Key, Florida.
Key, Florida. Yeah, no, I know that. Of course. No, I'll continue looking. I'm in hot pursuit. Tomo, beers are only $2 in here. That's pretty okay. And hemp. Yeah, okay. No, I will get back to you later on this evening, and I'll update you. Okay. Just make sure to send that money over, because yeah, it's quite expensive here. All right. See you later. Okay, we've just arrived at Florida Keys. So I have it on good authority that Richard Hart lives in this village, and we're going to go around and just speak to a few locals and see if we can't get a lead. Figure out. You may need to up the sensitivity on this mic so that you pick up the other person. Just an FYI, Tomo. Excuse me, are you from round here? Mm-hmm. Have you heard of Richard Hart?
Richard Hart?
Richard Hart from Hex. He lives around here somewhere. He has I think he has a store.
Store?
Yeah, we're making a documentary about him, and we're trying to find him.
I don't know who that is.
No, okay. No problem, thanks. Excuse me, mate. Are you a local?
Sir.
Have you spent any time in Miami?
Miami? No.
Sorry, wait, this is not Miami, this is Florida. It's Florida, right? We're looking for Richard Hart of Hex.
Of who? Oh.
Hex.
I don't know who that is.
Okay, we're making a documentary film production about him. We're Australian television, and it's led us here because we believe he lives here.
Okay, yeah, I just got in today, so I have no idea. Senator Tom. My favorite flower, bougainville. You see the bougainville? So beautiful.
This one here?
Yes.
Tell me what you like about it.
The name.
Doesn't smell of anything. Literally smells of nothing. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, mate. Have you heard of Richard Hart? He's a local fella. He runs Hex. No.
He's supposed to be on Duval?
Yeah, he's somewhere on this street. So.
I don't know him. Is he an artist or is he a what?
He runs Hex. It's a cryptocurrency.
Oh, cryptocurrency.
Yeah, we're doing a documentary about his cryptocurrency. And
all right, I think there is a crypto place, but it's up around in the middle of Duval.
Okay, so there's a store.
I think I've actually seen a cryptocurrency place up around the 800 block. And yes, I see you too.
Oh, yeah, he's with my team.
I know. I can give him this.
You're welcome to say hello and everything. So,
how you doing?
Good.
But yes, I think there is a crypto place up by Mel Fisher, who is the guy who discovered the sunken Spanish treasure. But there's also, I believe, there's a crypto place up around there.
Do you know what the name is by chance?
Buddy, you're killing me. I'm trying to have a beer.
Too many questions.
Too many questions, man.
I understand.
Let me have my beer. I just got it.
No problem.
And it's hot outside.
Enjoy it, mate.
Pleasure to meet you.
You too.
You too. But it's that way, not this way.
I'm looking for Richard Hart.
No.
He created Hex, the cryptocurrency Hex.
Well,
he lives around here.
No, I don't know where he lives.
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
He's very popular around here, apparently.
I know a couple of the other ones, but
yeah,
that one I don't know yet.
We will pay attention though.
Okay, I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
How's the audio? From the other person?
It's very good.
Oh, really?
I'm a professional.
Well, that's good to know, mate.
I'm not like this.
See, there's another waft of dope again.
No.
It's like there's people smoking bloody dope all over the place in here.
Sorry, I don't have time for it.
You know, America's not nearly as bad as people make it out to be, right? Especially this part reminds me a lot of the Melbourne suburbs.
Is that a car?
Suburbs?
Suburb.
No, that's where the rich people live.
They live in cars.
No, that's beyond the suburbs. So first you have rich people that live in the suburbs, then beyond there you have middle class people that live in their cars.
Where is it?
It's just, yeah, typically outside of the city.
Yeah, but which city?
The one, yeah, any city. Fucking hell. What's it called? Florida Key. Florida Keys or something. Anyway, Richard's supposed to live around here, so I've been talking to the locals. I think I've talked to about upwards of 250 locals so far. Nobody has a fucking clue where he is or who he is, so whoever sent me down here has sent me on a fucking wild goose chase, as per usual. And I'm looking at you, you know, research team back there and Scotty in marketing. You've done me a favour in a sense that you've sent me to Miami, but you've done me a disfavour in the sense that you've sent me somewhere where I don't actually think Richard lives anymore. Or maybe he lived here, maybe he didn't, I don't know. So, anyway, it's quite nice here.
Senator Tom, you remember Bitman 360?
How could I forget?
You found him, huh?
Yeah, but do you not remember what we had to do to find him?
You found him, huh?
Yeah, well, we kind of found him.
Senator Tom, you will get him. Don't worry. Be optimistic. You're in control of your own happiness.
Hang on a sec, Tom. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Of course, it's been a very productive day. Oh, Tomo remains optimistic. I'm somewhat optimistic that we will find him. Yeah, maybe 200 or 300 people. Yeah, well, I mean, you have to talk to a lot of people in order to fucking get to the bottom of things. You know this. Don't you remember? Yeah. No, listen. Fucking hung up on me. This is not going well at all today. I think we should knock off for the day and try again tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Don't have to thank me, mate. What is a god whale?
Everything is motherfucking possible.
What is WAGMI?
We've no idea.
I'm wondering why people are so worried about the OA.
Tomo, mate, we have some serious competition here.
I'll have to go into some detail around how I was able to miss the best performing asset of the year, which is Hex.
I actually understand Tom Gillespie's position, right?
No, we have to go. We have
Tom Gillespie here. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about decentralization.
Yeah, I've got a... Are we on camera right now?
Camera right now.
Richard wanted to work with us, but at that point in time, it was just not the right time. But yes, I'm familiar with Richard and Hex.
It's like, it is a Ponzi, but it is a self-aware Ponzi.
If anything, honestly, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better.
If you're going to a circus, you expect to see clowns. But not everybody in attendance at that circus is necessarily a clown.
It's a way to mask my identity. So now it's sort of a privacy thing.
A lot of people are going to get hidden criticism, so it's up to him and his teams to prove whether they have long-term viability or not.
Fire! Let's run it. Interview about Hex? Okay, all right.
We made an epic fuck up, basically.
We are limitless!
Feel like Charlie Lee when you're streaming from the car, and you think you look like Tom Waits when you're pumping cons on fire. It's so bizarre you think you are, and you can't kind of Charlie Shrimp. But the only thing I ever seen of you was a Twitch stream for back when. Influencer, influencer, you think you are an influencer, influencer. You think you are an influencer, influencer. You think you are an influencer, influencer. You belong to the top 100, launch your own private blockchain, but you worked in a crypto startup every day until you could afford a great trade. So we went to Sweden to meet Ivan on tech. He wasn't there, we just didn't care. I think it's time for you, my friend, to stop pretending that you are an influencer, influencer. You think you are an influencer, influencer. You think you are an influencer, influencer. You think you are an influencer, influencer. Now out without dinero, all your coins have gone to zero. When your gains had vanished into dust, can't let them go, you want to know. Influencer, influencer. You think you are an influencer, influencer. You think you are an influencer, influencer. You think you are an influencer. Influencer, influencer. You think you are an influencer, influencer. You think you are influencer, influencer. You think you are an influencer, influencer.
What is a god whale?
From what I heard, I just learned about the god whale recently in Hex, and this dude is just, he has so much Hex he can if he wants start a bull run or end it, and apparently that's what's been happening. But apparently this god whale, essentially he's like the whale of whales, so he's just a complete beast financially speaking. I don't know who he is, I don't know what else he holds. I know his wallet addresses are out there if you can ask around for him, but he's done some amazing things in Hex.
That definition sprung up because there's a wallet that appears to be one of the early ETH participants in the Ethereum, so involved in the original coin token offering of Ethereum. And so that entity appears to hold a lot of ETH and has been an active participant in Hex, buying a lot of Hex and staking a lot of Hex. And so people have just referred to that wallet address or group of wallet addresses as the god whale.
Okay, so they're independent from the origin address.
Well, there is an assumption that they are, but theoretically it could be the same entity.
So,
sorry, I'll just expand on that a little bit. That the reason that Richard claims that it is somewhat provable, or there's evidence that it's not him, is because if you agree, and you can tell by looking at the blockchain, that person was in Ethereum right from the very, very, very early stages and went in large. And subsequent to that, Richard was trash talking Ethereum a lot, saying that it was no good. And so if you work under the assumption that no one would trash something that they've got such a large bag of, again, a sort of a game theoretical element, that you wouldn't trash talk your own bag, then you would assume that god whale is not associated with the founding team, i.e. Richard and the origin address, etc.
This is why I try to get to the bottom of why people call certain projects scams. Is it because they have a king, this leader? Or is it because they are claiming decentralization and yet, they don't have the infrastructure might be decentralized that they're utilizing, but they've got this king figure, and obviously the king we're talking about is the origin address.
Right. And every single crypto has one. That's the funny thing. Every single crypto has one. And then they give you a little pie chart and they said, this one's going to developers. This one's going to this. This one's going to that. And you know what? One dude holds all those keys. One dude holds all those keys. Prove otherwise. I mean, this is what's so funny, right? So it's not so much the people believe what they want to believe, right? If a person forms an opinion about a person, they don't like that person, they're not going to buy their product. Plain and simple. They can't get over their own personal opinion. You know, it's like nobody's asking who the founder of the hammer is, right? Who invented it? How many hammers are on the market? How many of this? It's a tool, right? All crypto is a tool. What you care is whether or not it works. Does it serve its function? Because regardless of what Richard does, Hex is still there. If Richard died tomorrow, Hex code still runs. Okay? If Richard was arrested, he could literally nuke everything and send it all to the stakers, because it has the feature of the emergency unstake function, where he could literally stake everything for 555 and burn 25% over and over and over again until it was redistributed to the whole community. So when they did arrest him, he'd say, well, sorry, I don't have anything. Community's got it. All these mechanisms, all this complexity, all of this effort in order to make it not a security, all of this you and the code versus having to deal with some centralized website, it's all intentional. And other things literally are filled with traps and levers. It's all filled with traps and levers. But here's the thing, all right? If you got something that doesn't have traps and levers in a industry that is full of traps and levers, you mean they're going to actually have to start building viable products? They don't want to do that. They don't need to do that. It's like Silicon Valley. They work so long on a project and say, okay, that one's done. Let's move on to the next one. No, we've got a guy that's standing behind his product. And you know what else he did? He's making solutions.
So this is post-launch. The whale claims 1,000 Bitcoins or 10,000 Bitcoins on launch day will be equivalent to, or 5,000 BTC will be equivalent to 23.333 million hex. Staking is invoking a function on the smart contract to commit your hex for a time period. Currently the unit of time is days. I may stake 10,000 hex for 10 days, for example. So that's a little bit like what I've been doing. You're right there. Is this making sense to you?
No, I'm not listening. I'm a videographer.
Again.
Not an audiographer.
So you're not getting any audio again?
I'm getting audio.
You are getting audio?
Of course, I'm always getting audio.
Okay, so we don't actually need Tommy there. BPB plus capped hearts, stake return share rate scale LBP shares, LBP plus extra stake days BBP. So let's define those terms. BBP means bigger pays better. Stake return is the total amount paid for the ending of the stake. Share rate scale is to maintain the...
Should I go?
Yeah. Off you go, mate.
This is Eric Wall from Sweden. I'm on my way to my office, my Stockholm office, to write a fund report. And the fund report is going to cover the performance of the fund for this year, and I'll have to go into some detail around how I was able to miss the best performing asset of the year, which is Hex. Even though I knew the founder, I sat down with the founder, he explained the concept of Hex to me and urged me to purchase it as a friend, and I called it the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I actually understand Tom Gillespie's position, right? If you're going to a circus, you expect to see clowns. But not everybody in attendance at that circus is necessarily a clown. So it's very interesting because the crypto space is a circus ran by clowns. We're trying to change that.
Yeah, all right.
I'm on Telegram, LinkedIn, whatever.
No, I'll get back to you on that one. I can't. Alright. Yeah, I'll speak to you later. Okay.
How's it going, everyone? Tom Gillespie here. I've come across a conference here in Miami that is dealing with decentralized finance and non-fungible tokens. Is Tomo getting ready to shoot some interviews with these high-profile crypto celebrities that are about the place here today. And I'll check in later to let you know how things are going. Hopefully I bump into a few of you Hexicans around here. If you are on site, feel free to come tap on my shoulder. I'm the guy in the red trousers.
Bloody hell is everyone, mate?
What is a Deegan?
What's a Deegan? Deegan, yeah, that's short for degenerate. So, Deegans in crypto are people that they hang around in their pajamas all day, probably smoking pot, and they just buy and sell NFTs and other crypto assets. So where's our interview candidate?
Huh?
She's disappeared. We are with media, Australian television.
Oh, Australian television.
I'm still trying to move Joe over here to get him a photo in front of the sign. He's just being bombarded by people over there.
Which Joe is that?
Joe Lubin.
Okay, I think he's going to get a photo with somebody first, so just hold up.
Would you like to do a quick interview?
No, we have to go. We have
Tom Gillespie here. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about decentralization.
Yeah, I've got a...
we already have something scheduled, sorry.
This is James Beck.
Yeah.
Why don't you guys talk and maybe we'll get something on the calendar. But he runs...
Give me your email.
Tom Peter Gill. Peter Gill.
I'm one of the speakers at the conference today at 4 o'clock session, and I just saw your nice setup, and I'm just shameless to see I could fit in with your media focus and whatnot.
Yes, as a crypto artist, it brings the power back to the people, the artists.
So is the Dome open day and night?
Yeah, it's like it is a Ponzi, but it is a self-aware Ponzi.
Yeah, so
I heard it from Australia. Yeah. Our CEO lives there in Brisbane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And you'll see, that's the CEO of this specific project.
Yeah.
And you're essentially film financing.
Sorry.
It's a film financing project, right?
It's a decentralized exchange.
World Economic Forum. Remember you said that Instagram just posts in the background. Well, it's still going, however many hours later. So you were wrong. Brittany,
what's up?
much appreciated.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm
so glad we actually get to meet. I saw my sister told me you sent me an email. Should we go somewhere that's less loud?
I think that would work best.
Yeah, let me grab my stuff.
Right on. Perfect.
I wish more people took decentralization seriously. I'm really not cool with the current secret push that it seems like VCs and other things are doing to try to make people think that people don't actually care about decentralization.
Oh, right on, okay. Yeah, I get what you mean. So this is analogous to what you can experience inside the metaverse, essentially. It's fucking going great, mate. This is Mexico City.
Yeah.
Gonzo's Bar and Grill. Come on down. Come hang out with us twice a month, basically. Every second Friday of the month. So come on down, listen to some tunes, have a line, maybe a few cocktails at the bar here, get a steak baguette, and fucking listen to the good beats.
That's right.
Zizi and myself are the selectors.
Right.
We do not
Right? If I tell you,
fuck about.
I've written essays on why Ethereum is so hackable and the attack surface area is too large.
Richard
and
Hart,
no smart
it's
person
Tom
will ever be
Gillespie.
able
I've
to
been
make.
looking for you bloody everywhere. Well, can you sit down for a moment and have an interview?
All right.
Excellent. Thanks, mate.
I'm Richard Hart, retired solar entrepreneur. Started my first business out of my front yard. It's Car Stereo. Did it for 2 years. Worked great. Then I got into search engine optimization, pay-per-click management. This is in 2001. Google AdWords didn't exist yet. There was no way to bid on traffic on Google. You had to buy banners. And then got some clients that did well.
Hang on a second.
Mortgage leads. Started a mortgage company. Cash advance loans, Miracle Cleaner. A lot of different businesses. Anything we could sell on the internet. Got up to 150.
Let's talk in extremes. Let's say the OA dumps everything, just everything, and the price goes down, I don't know, 80, 90%. Does it change anything of the code? No, not really. No, not at all. Actually, it doesn't change anything in the code. The only thing that it changed was that the price is really low all of a sudden.
So my thinking is, again, it's to have whales is not unique to Hex. And what whales can do is just, well, if they hold other coins, they can make the price go up by selling those other coins in and buying Hex for them, or they can crash the price. They can sort of manipulate the price. But again, that happens with Bitcoin. It happens with all coins.
So what you're gonna have if the OA dumps is a system that still works 100% of the time. A system that pays you interest without counterparty risk. One of the best financial products that I have ever seen, just on a discount.
When people get in really early, and if they put in quite a lot of money, they have enough of the coin to be able to do this. So again, from that perspective, that doesn't really worry me so much. And the origin address, again, I need to be really careful not to sort of echo what other people say, but people talk about it as being this benevolent kind of entity. And I mean, I don't think that anything behind origin address is intentional.
Like you'll have some time of confusion and some time of people saying, see, it was a scam.
This bullshit you're fucking saying.
But I bet you that once that happens, like if that happens, price is just going to go up, because the people who understand the system, they understand that it doesn't really matter what happens. The T-share price will go up regardless of anything. And if you can get some cheap Hex because the OA dumps everything, well, good for you.
My gut feeling is that it's there to be able to benefit Hex. And again, I trust what Richard says about this. I think he's been quite open about it in some way. But I really think if you take the community out and if you take Richard out, I think the product still does very well.
So when people say the OA is a feature, they mean that the OA holds the majority of the coins, and it's just the same as a CEO of a big company holding the majority of stocks.
I tend to think, why are people? I'm wondering why people are so worried about the OA.
I get that you have to be skeptical of a entity that holds the majority of the coins, but if you look at what the OA has done, it is a feature.
Maybe some people worry that Richard might do a rug pull. I find it very hard to believe. People are going to recognize his face, and it doesn't seem like the guy who would do a rug pull. To me, he seems to like the idea of holding, if OA belongs to him, it's sort of holding huge amount of money. And he said himself in one of the interviews, it's just a numbers game to him. So to be able to say, look, I'm the richest man alive.
It became really big over the last year and a half. I think because of DeFi, decentralized finance, and NFTs, it has caused so many people to come on board. We're getting finally this as close to mass adoption as we can get to date. And so I think that's the state that we're in now. And it's only getting bigger and bigger, especially with NFTs. It's brought in culture, which is what we needed. We needed a community. But the future, I think, is definitely decentralized, from decentralized identity to all this decentralized software. So, because I don't want the big companies like Facebook to own my data, you know? So the future needs to be decentralized.
Yeah, and it's an interesting question because so many of the projects that claim to be decentralized, they actually exist on a spectrum of decentralization. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say. Example would be like Bitcoin, right? So yes, it's decentralized, but a lot of the people that the miners that have it are and the holders of it are centralized. So not everything is fully decentralized, but I think the ethos behind everything, and that we're trying to get things decentralized. And I'm not necessarily saying everything does need to be decentralized, but I would rather have them decentralized. I think there's a good balance between both. We do need some centralized systems, but overall, we just don't need these big companies, big centralized systems just owning us. And also, we want financial inclusion. We want people to give power back to the people, and I think that's what decentralization does.
Decentralization is a fundamental value proposition of the blockchain technology, right? How do you prove decentralization? Because there doesn't seem to be a standard definition in the industry.
That's a tough question. I don't know. I don't know. That's a question I don't know the answer, so I'm just going to tell you that.
It's a question that I'm exploring it for the documentary because I think it's, when it comes to the fundamental value propositions, they ought to be very easy to verify, right? It's either on-chain or it's not on-chain. It's either centralized or decentralized.
But like, we go back to what you were saying before, it might be decentralized, but then their servers might be centralized. That's what I'm saying. It's hard. I don't know 100% because I'm also not a technical person, so I wouldn't fully be able to answer that question. But I do know that not things, the technologies that are claiming to be decentralized are also using Amazon Web Services, you know? So we have that still. So it's not fully decentralized. We're not there yet.
No, it's an ambition. I understand that. And I've been looking at a lot of on-chain smart contract. They're essentially companies or projects that have smart contracts attached to them. And most recently I've been looking at one called Hex.
Hex? I don't know Hex. Tell me about Hex.
Hex is a certificate of deposit on the blockchain which claims 40% APY, and it was created by Richard Hart, which is a very big personality in crypto. Have you heard of him?
So now finally the technology and art comes together, and it really comes to serve us, the artists. So we're no longer kind of like, just oiling a machine that in the end of the day profits only a very small group of individuals. Now the power comes back to the artists, and this is what also decentralizing is all about, the NFT is all about.
Yeah, so decentralizing the art industry would, in my mind, suggest that we're removing these galleries. The galleries were the middlemen between the consumer and the creator in the past. And yet, I've walked around here and I've heard a few people talking about NFT galleries.
Yes.
So are they a new type of middlemen?
Oh, that's interesting. I never thought about it like that. I guess because there will be like the guy that decides what art. But the beautiful thing about NFTs is like you don't have to be in a gallery to do well or to get paid for your work or to become, well known. Like, yeah, it's one avenue, but the other avenue is totally open and free to you. you know, it's not just the gatekeeper or, you know, take the road. You know, it's you have the choice.
Funny enough, it's just PayPal. PayPal saying they're going into crypto. I'm like, I've heard of Bitcoin. I'm going to buy graphics cards because I know years ago I was trying to build a computer and graphics cards were sold out. And they're like, you can make Bitcoins with it or something. And I'm like, let me just buy a bunch of graphics cards because that's what I'm interested in, it is the mining aspect. That's my way of creating the most rare asset on earth, this digital assets. And then you start learning more about like what Ethereum is, and this Ethereum virtual machine, and this idea of like shared computational power. And now that I'm running all these servers, it's like I'm helping create the new internet. Like instead of the power being all on Amazon and Google, it's in Mirror Vision, and my neighbors and anybody can essentially power this new user-based internet. That where we actually own our identity. And again, that's kind of where Mirror Vision plays too, is that this is a new form of identity, this strange, sublime identity. And if I wear like this one, for example, it's a way to mask my identity. So now it's sort of a privacy thing.
Yeah, I think that there has to be certain levels of decentralization. It can't be too much all at once because like there are things that still needs to be centralized, right? Like you can't have it to where you decentralize everything way too quick. And let's say, for example, like if you're starting a brand new company and you're starting a brand new blockchain, what happens if you decentralize really, really early is that you're giving away the entire blockchain before it builds to everyone to kind of mess it up.
You know, right now I'm looking at a project called Hex, and the founder, it's claimed that the founder is the owner of the origin address, which owns 96% of the supply, the liquid supply.
You guys ever heard of BitConnect?
I've heard of BitConnect. Yeah.
All right. So if you look at kind of like Hex's website, it looks exactly the same of like what kind of Ponzi-nomics would be. Like whenever you're kind of like duping people into kind of like high numbers, right? Like if I create literally a brand new project overnight, place it onto like Uniswap, and I'm the 96% owner of it, I can actually, you know, pump it up if I want to make it to where it's, you know, you're fudging the numbers and stuff. I don't think that, you know, like with Hex and everything, that if you have 96% ownership, it's not decentralized at all. Even if the mint key, if you have the mint key, as long as you burn the mint key, as long as like that happens, you can see publicly that you burned it. But if you still have it in a possession or anything, there's things in the industry called rug pulls too. That's what they do. It's the same concept as having the mint key, and then after a while, when you're not, when everything's going fine, everything's going dandy, and then they just rug you out of there. So
it seems to come to the case that depending on the level of decentralization in a project corresponds to the potential of it, the risk tolerance or the potential of it being a scam. Are those two interlinked in your mind?
A scam would be a little bit of something different. I think that Hex isn't a scam yet because of the fact that he hasn't rugged, or whoever hasn't rugged. So I can't say it's a scam. But in terms of decentralizing, you know, if you have 96% of ownership in one wallet that has basically majority vote, even if it's down to, you know, 20% or 30%, you still don't want to have a centralized entity try to at least control it, right? So for example, like Uniswap, even though it's completely decentralized on the web, can still have access to where you can remove certain things off their website. They also have it to where Coinbase and exchanges also own a majority of it as well, so they can actually swing votes if they needed to. So it's kind of like things like those that make decentralized not decentralized. Decentralized protocols not decentralized, but it's just kind of like it varies between. But a scam would be literally right after they rug. So right after they pull all the money, then yes, we can call it a scam. But till then, it's just, you know, there's a thing that they can do to kind of make it all go away. Literally, you can do a one-to-one swap. If let's say you actually own the mint key, but you forgot about it, or lost it in an account, just go ahead and swap it. Just do a one-to-one swap. Basically, all the tokens that are generated receive one-on-one equally, and then from there, burn the mint key publicly. If that's the case, or depending on however they want to structure it, but like. Code is key. Like code is king. So you can kind of see everything within the code that it's not there, right? It's technically there, but it's not already burned. It's not trying to become decentralized. You have a majority share that's going to own a majority of it, and it's just kind of like that. I don't want to say pyramid, but it's kind of like that top approach. That top's just going to dump on the bottom. But it's just basically the game of, how long will they take?
Coin market cap as a metric is thrown about the place a hell of a lot, right? Why? And yet it's so easy to manipulate. Why does the industry commit to continuing to use this metric in any sort of useful manner?
Well, it depends. So if you look at it for like price oracles, there's also other different ones that actually use price data as well. So you can look at CoinGecko. You can also look at on-chain data as well, like Band Protocol. The Graph also does like NFT metrics and everything like that too. So mostly, I would say, if you're looking at like Oracle services, you don't have to always use one site. You can always use multiple sites and things like that to aggregate price data.
But I mean, even Etherscan shows Hex in third place because it's pulling in the data. I mean, that's a block explorer, right? So it's pulling in the raw data from the blockchain. And yet, Richard or whomever else has figured out a way to pump their token to the top of the list. So
Pumpermentals,
exactly. I think it's a term he coined, as far as I can understand.
There's a lot of ways to do it, but Pumpermentals it's crypto, so it's kind of like the wild, wild west. I would say there's a lot of ways to fudge numbers on chain, but once again, like if you have the liquidity, like it's undeniable, right? So yeah, it was just. I'm not comparing it earlier to like BitConnect. I'm just saying that there are very similar things that I do see.
Yes, I've heard of Hex, and I can comment on the whole market cap and ranking thing. In crypto, these tokens, they're minted. Their caps are sometimes not hard cap. They're soft cap tokens where they can keep minting more. And even if with a hard cap, sometimes they can say only 10% are circulating, but the rest are just kind of there for later. And so to measure the true market cap of a crypto project is difficult, right? Because I can say my token's worth $10 and it's trading, but I have a billion other tokens somewhere else not trading. But if you multiply 10 by a billion, I have a $10 billion market cap at that time. And so, some projects try to use this to their advantage to get ranked higher. I'm not saying anyone's doing it maliciously, but it just makes it hard for these ranking sites to truly determine what the true market caps are. And it's the same for our exchanges too. We try to. We don't look at market cap when tokens list. We want to give everyone a fair shot. But in our analytics, we want to make it very fair. We don't want anybody to be faking volume or be faking their own market cap, right? We want investors to have an accurate picture of what tokens they're buying.
At the beginning, 10 years ago with Bitcoin and what have you, there was a lot of emphasis placed on decentralization, self-sovereignty, and some of these other value propositions. Do you think the industry has veered away from some of those core principles over the years?
I think we all know that regulation's coming, and we want to play nicely with that, right? We want the world to embrace DeFi, to embrace crypto, and to do that, we need people in traditional finance, institutional players, or just users who aren't comfortable with crypto yet to feel comfortable. But on the other hand, we do want to stay very decentralized because I think part of that is innovation. Sometimes you want to innovate, but within the realms of current regulation and laws, you're not sure. It's a gray area, and you want to cover yourself. So if you're a centralized project, you have to register a legal entity, a business, a company, and all that. There's a lot of red tape that gets in the way of innovation. But if you go decentralized, you say my project is global, nobody really owns it, token holders own it, maybe you run a DAO model where it's governed by token holders, then in that sense, there's not really anyone to go after. Even if the government says, no, this is wrong, I want to stop it, it's a decentralized organization. It's not bound to a country or a person. So it's very hard to stop that type of movement. And, we're not doing that because we think we're shady and want to hide in the shadows. We're doing that because we think we're actually pushing innovation in the technical and financial world, and we don't want regulation to get in the way. So in that model, we can iterate very quickly. We can try new ideas very quickly because we don't have to worry about getting a sign-off from an entity or a government.
Tomo, mate, are you still picking up the audio? You still picking up the audio? Even at that distance? A remarkable technology, isn't it?
Your hair is looking good.
Looks good, does it? Great. But should we go and have a look at what this thing's all about?
What thing?
Or whatever the bloody hell that thing is.
What thing?
That building there.
Oh, it's a tent.
Yeah, I think it's called a dome, actually, if we're going to be accurate. No, I haven't looked at it for a while, but I can. Yeah, all right. No, there's probably a fuck ton of influencers here, I'd imagine. I don't know if there'll be any Hex influencers, but there'll be some crypto influencers, I'd imagine. Yeah, I'll have a look then. All right. To me, decentralization comes down to a simple binary question. Is there a throat to choke? Yes or no? Can the government come in and shut you down? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, you're not really decentralized, right? If all your servers or validators are on AWS, they can shut you down, right? Or if all of your validators are given grant money by your parent institution and they can control what the validators do, that's not really decentralized. So decentralized simply means, can you kidnap someone and it would shut down the project, or kidnap the core team and shut down the project, yes or no, or could it still survive? Bitcoin is truly decentralized. A lot of these other protocols, they want to be decentralized, and for reasons of skirting government regulations, they try to say they're decentralized, but I think we're still so early on that it's really hard to find true decentralized projects.
The marketing in this space, often they talk about we're decentralized, we're audited. Audited is another thing that they talk about.
Yeah.
And then when I look at these auditors, I often find they're literally nobody. They could be, a couple of 15-year-old kids in their basement doing this.
To me, like, auditing is kind of like, Moody's giving something a AAA rated bond. Like, does that even mean anything, right? It's not about saying, oh, I've been audited by 3 different firms. It's like, what is the quality of the firm auditing you? And is the code open source for everyone to see and audit themselves? Because what's more important is a random person on Reddit can look through your whole code base, find a flaw, point it out, and say, this is potential to be a rug pull. And then everyone finds that out, and they see that exploit, and then they pull their money out of it. That's the power of decentralization. It's not about one person being a center of trust. It's about the whole community collectively forming trust around the security, around the sustainability, around the validity of the team.
Are you familiar with Richard Hart?
Tell me more about it.
So Richard Hart created, I think he coined the phrase pumpamentals.
Okay, yeah.
His coin is Hex. You've heard of it?
I've heard of Hex, yes. There's a funny saying in the crypto world that anytime a coin is down by a lot of money, people say, I'm in it for the technology. And I'm not sure this is a controversial statement to say on your program, but I think people don't really care about decentralization. They care about making money, right? Everyone just wants to make money. And whatever they use, whether it's we're audited, we're decentralized, we're creating this great technology for this use case, it's really, people are just in it to get big gains at the end of the day. And that's okay, because profit-driven motivation enables a free market of ideas where thousands of people compete against each other, and those thousands of ideas naturally rise to the very best solution. So when it comes to decentralization, it is inherently a superior solution to a centralized solution, because you're always worried, to your point, about a dictator, right? Or someone who's going to make a bad decision. But a decentralized element enables a community to vote in a collective way. And when it comes to that, yes, there will be groupthink and small tribalism today, but over the course of 10 years, a lot of those projects will die out due to natural selection. And the really great projects with strong decentralization, with strong fundamentals, with strong financial incentives, with strong leadership, and with sustainability will really rise to the top at the end. And you just have to let it run its natural course.
The importance of decentralization really takes what we are used to in technology, which is that as soon as we use a platform, it is taking away as much of our value as possible, and instead flips that on its head, and we actually own all of the digital assets that we produce. We can control who they're distributed to and why and what they're used for, and actually have rights in a digital world in the same way where we would expect rights in our physical or analog lives. For me, instead of the word privacy, I like to use data protection, because what we're really looking for is to keep our personally identifiable information private, our name, our location, our address, our social security numbers. That should always be private. But we should be able to live our digital lives and still authenticate and tell people we are who we say we are. So So digital identity and the ability to keep certain things private, but protect the rest of the data that we share in terms of deciding where it goes, who it's used by, what it's used for. That's what I'm really talking about. So I think data protection really encapsulates where we're going a little bit more, because we're still going to be sharing tons of data, but we're going to share it in a safe and secure and anonymized way. The truth is we still need to scale up. We need more power sources around the world that are sustainable and green to create the hardware data centers that will actually process encrypted data through a lot of these Bitcoin and blockchain networks. And in order to do that, it's going to be a lot of investment, it's a lot of time, and over the next couple of years, we'll soon see entire governments and entire multinational corporations that are running on a blockchain backend. But we're only just getting to that point of mass adoption right now. I would say over the past few years, truly decentralized technologies have not been fully adopted by the world's largest organizations. And it's finally getting there. So I think we're going to see a very exciting 2022 where most Fortune 100 companies, actually most Fortune 1000 companies now have blockchain technology in development and implementation. So that's pretty exciting.
Are we seeing like a compromise between the regular economy and this new crypto economy to try to build, find this?
Well, I wouldn't exactly call it a compromise. I would kind of call it a stopgap, that we're in a period of time where a lot of companies have chosen to use private blockchains or blockchains that are not fully decentralized just because that was the option that was given to them. Those were the devs that they had access to. And I think that truly decentralized platforms that are now scaling and have more devs and more teams that can actually help companies like that implement these technologies on the back end, that's really going to start to change everything. People, the more that they understand what they're using, what is truly decentralized and what is not, and what are those reasons or those points for centralization, people are going to choose fully decentralized as individual users. And so we'll see what the market says in the end.
In my investigative studies into certain projects that I've looked into in the industry, I've come across Hex. Are you familiar with Hex?
A little bit. I've never used it personally.
It seems to be enemy number one in the industry. Are you familiar with Richard?
I know who he is, and I know a little bit about Hex, but I've never used it myself. And, what I'd probably have to say about that, because I don't have deep knowledge about the platform and what his backend actually looks like, a lot of people are going to get hate and criticism, so it's up to him and his teams to prove whether they have long-term viability or not. And so I hope he's doing the right thing.
Companies themselves are no longer in need of controlling things. Like, people have already proven that if you give them the power, they will do it. And so I'm really interested in giving people the power back. And that's why I'm trying to evangelize decentralization, is because then we can essentially decentralize the benefit of company ownership or profit or governance or all kinds of things, right, into a situation where the average person can actually play the game.
Just expand a little on this idea that there's a spectrum. Is that accurate?
I would say so. My reason being is that I don't think anything can truly start decentralized. There will always be a centralizing point initially, and then it will kind of gradually work its way to where it can decentralize. Because if you just start decentralized right off the get-go, there's a lot of stuff that we're not equipped to deal with yet. Like HR, really big issue. Hiring and income is hiring, getting paid for a job consistently is a really big problem in the space, stuff like that. And so while you're kind of working your way towards decentralization, you do need some people kind of manning the helm to make sure things are going well. So I think oftentimes you'll hear people talk about benevolent dictators in the space, people who we trust to be a centralizing point until the time when we're ready to break away from that. So that, as a spectrum, I think that's kind of necessary, because you can't just go 0 to 1. So if we're talking about rug pulls and stuff like that, and is it a centralization risk? That's totally fair. I don't think that centralization inherently makes something a scam, because if that was the case, then every traditional business that we currently see could be labeled a scam. So it's more so just there are always going to be scam businesses. and there will always be honest businesses, and there will always be scam cryptocurrency projects, and there will always be honest cryptocurrency projects. I don't think there's any way around that, because it's just humanity kind of sucks, if we're being honest. Like, there are scammers everywhere all the time. You could do things like have a multi-sig, and that kind of helps mitigate these issues and stuff like that. It's still not decentralized, it's like semi-decentralized, because it's just a multi-sig of people. It's not like the community as a whole, but it gets you there gradually, right? Like with these multi-sigs and these other decentralized contracts and governance tokens and stuff, we can start to move away from the idea of like a centralized company potentially scamming people, but it's not going to go away. If anything, honestly, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better.
Privacy at the end of the day is about freedom, consent, and sustainability. Those are kind of like the three principles. And so in order to achieve privacy, you have to have decentralization, right? If you have everything on a central server, you're not decentralized, you've lost your privacy, right? Because there's some entity out there that knows everything you do. But if you're able to have a layer of architecture that's decentralized, where the data is encrypted so it doesn't matter where it's living, and you have this ecosystem of architecture, then ultimately you've empowered privacy with decentralization. You can't have one without the other, you need both.
Talk to me a little bit about the realities of decentralization as a fundamental objective in the industry for these new projects.
I'm actually writing a book called The Dark Side of Decentralization, Stories of Power, Greed, and Manipulation.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, I think our industry, the decentralization is a buzzword that a lot of people just throw out there left and right. And so I think to achieve real decentralization, you have to get to a point where no single group of individuals determine the future of the protocol and the future of the usage, right? Bitcoin's there. Bitcoin is truly decentralized in my mind. There's some risks attached to like the Bitcoin mining and the centralization of all of that. But at the end of the day, I think there's going to be two paths that emerge. There's the people that want real decentralization, and there's the people that want control. And the protocols that win are going to be the ones that are truly decentralized for two reasons. First off is like the freedom and creativity of expression. You want as many people building interesting applications on their own, the freedom to build that. The second piece is regulation. Regulators are looking for targets. Any protocol that gets launched that's centralized enough, they can come up to you and say, you're a security, right? So I think decentralization is super, super important from a protection standpoint, from a regulatory standpoint too. So any project that's not truly isn't migrating towards true decentralization should be worried, because the first 5 years, people didn't know what blockchain was, didn't know what cryptocurrency was, but now we have the largest regulators in the world looking at our industry and saying, wait a minute, is this safe? Is this truly decentralized? I think the best entities in this space believe they're transient. They believe they're there to start it up, kickstart it, and then disappear. Fall away. Release control, right?
You're describing a DAO.
Yeah, but it requires humility. And there's a lot of greed in this space.
And I'm currently looking at Richard Hart's project.
Yep.
Are you familiar with Richard Hart?
I've heard of the name, but I would have to be familiarized with him specifically.
Yeah, so he claims to have created the first certificate of deposit on the blockchain, where basically he encourages people to stake their HEX for up to 15 years.
Wow.
Now for me that's flashing red lights a little, you know. But there's a number of projects that offer staking as a yield option, right?
Yep. The analogy I like to use is it's the analogy of like the circle, right? You can't magically like expand the circle. Value simply shifts in that circle. So like staking, you're essentially pulling value from the people that aren't staking and pushing it to people that are. It's inflation. And wherever the inflation is sent to, that's the winner of that. And you have to be very careful. So a lot of these staking projects, I think it's kind of the dark side of the industry, in that I think a lot of protocols are overpaying for security, and there's winners that win big from staking inflation. They're the whales. They were the people there from day one. And our industry doesn't want to talk about it because those people love it. So yeah, analogy of the circle, that's always what I look to, is where is the value shifting in any given system and protocol? And you can tell a lot about the founders and the creators' ethos based off of how they talk about who's incentivized and to what degree, the ones that hide their history versus the ones that are very open about it.
On the surface, it looks like perhaps a very small percentage of these projects are actually genuinely decentralized. Is that fair to say?
No, I think it's 100% fair to say, but the weird part about it is like decentralized, but on what scale, right? So let's say you have 10 blockchains, And none of those individual blockchains are truly decentralized, but they're all connected to each other. Is that decentralization? Right? Like you kind of have to choose what scope you're thinking about the decentralization question. Are we talking about blockchain as a whole, all of our connected ecosystems? Are we collectively decentralized? Compared to the legacy financial world, absolutely. But the more you zoom in, the more you realize there's centralization. And the question is, how big of a problem is that? And how can you migrate away from it?
And is centralization analogous to scam in crypto? Because
centralization is analogous to risk. Right? The more centralized you are, the more power you're placing at the hands of a focused set of entities. And so if they make a different decision or they want to do something else that's not in the name of all of the decentralized stakeholders, then you're at risk. And that's where the whole rug pull narrative, I'm sure you've heard rug as a term come out. So the more decentralized a system is, the less risk that lives in it. That's the way I view it. And some people are okay with more centralized systems because evidently they're willing to take the usability trade-off, and they're willing to take on the risk of being part of a more centralized system. And I think the beauty of decentralization, as you've probably heard, is it is a spectrum. The thing is, there's a spectrum, but we're not educating people on the risks of centralization. That's the difference. That's where our industry needs to go, is an education of the risk. I've been in rooms when I've seen decisions for decentralized networks that are not decentralized. And actually the way PR framed it was, that was a decentralized decision. Oh, that hack happened, that fork happened, that was decentralized. It was like, no. It was a room of people, with 3 or 4 people that are capable of, on their computers, pulling off the fork. That wasn't decentralization. That was a decision by a group of 2 or 3 people for lots of value worth, right? So our industry definitely has a lot of work to be done. There's skeletons all over the industry. I'm hoping to write about it. I'm a firm believer in the truth. And make no mistake, this industry is changing the world, but it's being built by people. And whenever you find people, there's inevitably all of the range of human problems that come with it. And decentralization happens to be a very convenient banner everyone likes to wave.
How important is decentralization in this industry, in your opinion?
Decentralization is the weight of the world. Decentralization is what the people want. And the reason why people want decentralization is because through decentralization, we actually have, for the first time, the power of property. Now, with the advent of cryptocurrencies, with the advent of NFTs, metaverse technology, this now is completely blowing away the world, because now if I have my cryptocurrency, if I have my NFTs, if I have my blockchain technology assets with me, and I have the keys to those assets, anyone can come into my own house. The government, the thieves, everybody can come into my house, put a fucking gun in my face and tell me, give me your money, give me your cryptos. Give me your Bitcoins or your Ether, your Ethereum. And you can tell them, you know what? Fuck you. I am not going to give you shit. That is such a power. And it is for the first time in the history of the world that people have the right to ownership.
Right now I'm looking at Hex by Richard Hart. Now, he has an extremely fanatical community around it. You've heard of him?
Yeah, sure. Henry.
Richard Hart.
Richard.
Yeah. So,
in fact, Richard wanted to work with us, but at that point in time, it was just not the right time. But yes, I'm familiar with Richard and Hex.
It seems to be the most hated, it's often called the scam, the main scam of the whole crypto industry, right?
But you got to be careful about calling things scam, because there are so many ideas in this space now that are coming up, and because it's something new, because it's something foreign to most people, they may call it a scam, when in fact it may be the greatest opportunity. I myself, I'm an open person. I say to myself, okay, yeah, it could be a scam, absolutely, but what if is this something that can truly change my life? What if this becomes a generational wealth, a fountain of generational wealth that I can actually provide for my family for generations to come. Am I going to be held back by the thought that this is just a scam? Or am I going to take a chance and be a risk taker and just go ahead and make it happen? My answer is I'm always going to be a risk taker. I don't care. Now, I'm always going to invest only what I can afford to lose. When Bitcoin came and it collapsed and all that thing happened, and I saw that the money that I had became nothing, it didn't really bother me as much. Of course, I lost $250,000 supposedly, but did I really lose it? No, I really didn't lose it because I already took my seed out, but there were a lot of people that got hurt and so on, and I understand that. But as time goes by, I have turned that and realized that BitConnect before my speech was like $900 million something dollars. And then after my speech became like a $2 to $3 billion. So I said to myself, wow, I have a power. I have a power to share with people information and to let them know that something powerful can come out of this, and therefore they can be motivated to go ahead and take action. And I think that that is one of my greatest power, my greatest asset. It's like Hitler. Hitler motivated a lot of people to go ahead and do things that were terrible. But no, I'm using that same power to motivate people to grow, to change their lives, to take risks, to transform their lives into something which could be amazing.
How have you seen that power be received by others since that event?
Amazing, amazing. I am highly blessed, highly favored, and people see and understand that I'm genuine. I have this powerful philosophy in mind. If I help you to grow in all dimensions of your life, the universe itself just gather. All of the powerful forces of the universe just gather, and they say to me, Carlos, because you have done so good to others, listen, I'm going to bless you, and I'm going to give you 1,000 to 1,000,000 times multiply what you help that person to grow. And that is something that I put in every single thing that I do. And let me tell you something. It is something that creates miracles. No longer you have to think that you got to step on someone in order for you to grow. No longer you can do that. You can think that if you help someone else to grow, you are going to grow 1,000 times to 1,000,000 times more. And it happens.
And that's partly due to decentralization.
Definitely, all of these technologies coming together have created an amazing opportunity such that there is wealth galore. These are the most important times in our entire history. Never in the history of the world have somebody put a couple of $1,000 into an asset and became millions of dollars in a couple of months. Bitcoin went from being a penny to right now almost 54, 60. It has reached almost $69,000. So what that means is everything is possible. Everything is motherfucking possible. We are limitless.
Hello, Hexkins. My name is Tom Gillespie. I've been on the Twitters trying to figure this hex out for years, it seems, years, and I heard about the 731 gathering, but I couldn't figure out where Richard was, so I went to Florida. Turns out, he's all the way in London.
Private jet?
Yeah, what is WAGMI?
We have no idea.
I did really good with a crypto. It was called Elon One.
Elon won.
Yeah, I don't know. My friend told me to put some money in it, and next thing you know, I was at 50 grand, and it was a pretty cool thing, you know, to get you know, the ball rolling, you know. Yeah. I started a little bit of success. I put $1,000 into it, turned into 50 grand. I was like, whoa, this thing is crazy. Yeah.
Like, where are you at with your understanding of decentralization as a concept for crypto?
I really don't understand it that much. I don't know, like.
Yeah, it's a complicated one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
can you tell me what it is?
Well, I understand it's a spectrum.
Where are you from?
I'm from Sydney, Australia.
Oh, okay, I figured the Australian accent. To interview my friend, he's big time in crypto.
Yeah, how you doing? I'm Christopher Barrios. I'm the admin of Wall Street Bets on Facebook. We're just here, just celebrating crypto and everything about it. A lot of great people here organizing this great event, and was invited happily and just came. A lot of people missed Bitcoin when it was just 50 cents or whatever the price, $100. And right now, these altcoins, they're just popping up, and they have real utility that people can capitalize on and make a lot of money.
Is it fair to say that these in-game, they're like in-game tokens? How decentralized are they really, do you think?
Well, some of them claim to be decentralized, but to be honest, a lot of them they're just riding the wave. You got to really dive into these projects and really see which ones are really decentralized, and they bring any utility or any support to the actual community.
I've been looking at a project called Hex. Richard Hart. Are you familiar with the...
Yes, I'm slightly familiar. There's a lot of people in my group promoting that coin, and they're in the project. Me, I haven't really looked into it too much.
Tell me a little bit about this guy.
He's the most... The only thing I've known, I've heard, is he's the most hated person in crypto. Do you know anything about Hex? No.
I've heard of Hex. I've been mauled by the Hex army a couple times. Are we on camera right now?
Camera right now.
Fire. Let's run an interview about Hex. Okay, all right. So what I know is that there's a lockup period, and you put money in. It generates some money that you pull money out. Very similar to Aave and like other interest-bearing tokens, but from what I understand, it's not solvent. There's not money to back the money that's printed and distributed to people.
Richard Hart's Hex, right now I'm looking at, and they claim multiple audits from certain...
Yeah. Hex, that's H-E-X?
Precisely. Yeah. You're familiar with it?
Yeah.
Have you got an opinion?
I personally don't think it's that good of a project.
Can you say why?
I don't exactly remember why it was not that good, but I just know that they were heavily shilling. And they even have like their own version of CoinMarketCap where it says Hex is like top 10. But they're just shady to me, you know what I mean?
What kind of weight do you give to auditing services? Because often they have a disclaimer saying, yes, we audited this, and at the bottom they'll say it doesn't really mean shit.
Yeah, it's similar to traditional finance. I actually worked in auditing before for a management consulting firm, but it's like there's levels to auditing. So you want really to have like an S-tier auditing firm, you know, put their stamp of approval on it. You don't really want to have like these mid-tier auditing firms that are just saying it's good, but then it may not really pan out. I'm not entirely familiar with like the auditing process of Hex, but if they do have the consensus stamp of approval, that's very high. That's a very high weight. But if they have a bunch of these like random, you know, like just small or boutique like auditing firms, like it may not be as reliable, the information that they're providing. With decentralization, I do believe that we may be able to lose that with more VCs coming in, more institutional buyers moving in, because they really want to control the space, whereas decentralization is mainly for like, you know, the small people, the regular people, because, you know, like there's strength in numbers. So obviously if you're already in control and there's strength in numbers, you're going to want to take away that power from the people. But as of now, I would say like decentralization is the key. I truly believe it's the future, like personally. It's just the way the world is going towards.
Tomo, mate, we have some serious competition here.
Wow, Tomo, this is really beautiful. It's very well lit, it has nice angles. But who filmed this? And why wasn't I invited to the movie?
Tom, mate, this is another bloody production, nothing to do with us, and it's pretty much going to leave us dead in the water.
No, Tom. They have many beautiful cinematography. They have very good lighting. The equipment is probably very fancy, and they even have a budget. By a team, a professional organization, they have skills and a quality research team, even probably exclusive access to Richard Hart himself. But you know what they don't have, Tom? They don't have you.
Tomo, mate, this is no time to get sentimental. We have essentially been overtaken overnight by the very people we're supposed to be investigating. This is really, really bad, mate. We might just need to stop, eh? Just go home and just stop. We made an epic fuck up, basically, and somebody should have been watching closer on the Twitters so that we knew what was going on in London and where all the hexagons were actually going to be, because either we got on the wrong fucking airplane, and, that's an administrative dilemma, I guess, that's put us in Miami instead of London, or the research team just haven't done a proper fucking job. Either way, can't complain, I'm on the beach. And like I say, it's rather nice here, apart from those bloody big gazebos. They're really fucking the view up, to be honest. Hand back the fucking phone now. Happy Valentine's Day to Richard Hart.
Oh, you about to make Hexicans mad at me.
Richard, come down, mate. Come down from your castle now. $71 billion in crypto has reportedly passed through the blockchain island Malta. Quick question, have you heard of Richard Hart? He's figured out a way to use the scam narrative in crypto to his advantage. Who's heard of Hex?
The problem with NFTs, though, and could be the Achilles heel, and I don't know if it will be or not, is the self-dealing.
He lives here in Malta. Okay, no problem. Thanks, mate.
I know the gift, not the guy.
Okay. Stop playing King Silly Buggers. Fucking hell.
Yeah, I haven't seen another project which has the mechanisms built in to enrich a particular, entity as much as Hex does.
Originally, like most people, I was very enthused, and I bought some, and it went up.
It's a joke, and the reason they look at Richard, and Richard can get away with saying he created a better Bitcoin, because he's not mincing words. He'll tell you straight up, this is a pump coin.
Yes, please, if you've seen Tom in Sydney, please do let us know. We are concerned about him. We love him.
You will not be able to be alone, brother. You will not be able to log in, scroll down, and tweet out. You will not be able to control yourself on Instagram and share each thought that fills your mind, because the revolution will not be decentralized. The revolution will not be decentralized. The revolution will not be brought to you by Facebook and 5-part stories without advertorial interjection. The revolution will not show you selfies of leaders sharing truths and leading a charge with Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg to free your ideas confiscated from a digital crack den. The revolution will not be decentralized. The revolution will not be brought to you by the latest Netflix series and will not star Hugh Jackman and Dwayne Johnson or Rick and Morty. The revolution will not give your words mass appeal. The revolution will not get rid of the trolls. The revolution will not make you look 10 times cooler, because the revolution will not be decentralized, brothers. There will be no pictures of you and Ronaldo kicking that ball down the block in suburbia or trying to backflip off a roof into an inflatable kid's pool. YouTube will not predict the best influencer or musician every year in the YouTube Rewind video. The revolution will not be decentralized. There will be no pictures of lone wolves shooting down Muslims on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of lone wolves shooting down Muslims on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of TV personalities being spat on in a live feed wearing brand new Gucci attire. There will be no hyperlapses or panoramics of Marissa Mayer strolling through Paris in a red, yellow, blue and green Prada jumpsuit that she had been saving for just the right photo op. Freedom, democratic process and accountability will no longer be so damn relevant. And people will not care if Dorsey finally launches a Twitter owned by the people, because all people will be in the street looking for a brighter day. The revolution will not be decentralized. There will be no live streams on your feed and no picture of transgender neo-feminists and Melania Trump showing emotion. The theme song will not be written by Lucas Gottwald or Max Martin, nor sung by Justin Bieber, Lady Gaga, Harry Styles, Eminem, or the Black Eyed Peas. The revolution will not be decentralized. The revolution will not be updated after a network hack about a credit card fraud, a data breach, or your privacy. You will not have to worry about a hacker on your feed, a troll in your inbox, or an education in your schools. The revolution will not go better with Snapchat. The revolution will not fight the people that spread hate. The revolution will force you to decide. The revolution will not be decentralized, will not be decentralized, will not be decentralized. The revolution will have no upgrades, brother. The revolution will divide.
From the various projects that I'm investigating. Well, you know, right now obviously it's Hex. So whenever the price of Hex goes up or down or doesn't do anything at all interesting, then I get a notification on my telephone watch.
And Tom, I have been wondering, have you been checking how it's going for Scooter?
The power of context. I recently read a book by Malcolm Gladwell called The Tipping Point. And on page 172, in a chapter called The Power of Context, he writes the following. Have you ever wondered how religious movements get started? Usually we think of them as a product of highly charismatic evangelists, people like the Apostle Paul, Billy Graham, Brigham Young. But the spread of any new and contagious ideology also has a lot to do with the skillful use of group power. In the late 18th and 19th centuries, for example, the Methodist movement became epidemic in England and North America, tipping from 20,000 to 90,000 followers in the US in a space of 5 or 6 years in the 1780s. But Methodism's founder, John Wesley, was by no means the most charismatic preacher of this era. That honour belonged to George Whitefield, an orator of such power and charisma that it was said he once charmed a £5 contribution out of Benjamin Franklin, who was, of course, the furthest thing from a churchgoer.
H house.
What's that, mate?
House 8.
Haith house?
8.
Haith?
8.
I don't know what does that mean?
8.
H house?
8.
H.
H. A, B, C, D.
For house. H for house. Okay, now I get where you're coming from. That bloody big castle on the hill there. Yeah, I mean, that could make sense, actually. I mean, where else would a crypto billionaire live but in a H house that represented some sort of castle from medieval era?
Good morning, everyone. It's back here Saturday morning in Sydney, Australia, obviously in front of the iconic Sydney Opera House and Sydney Harbour Bridge. I'm just out this morning looking for Tom Gillespie. He, according to his Twitter account, was out around 4 AM canvassing Sydney, putting up signs about a crypto scandemic. And, you know, Sydney can be quite dangerous at 4 a.m. You know, we've got really big waves and riptides and things of that nature. I'm just worried that Tom has maybe gone missing, because I can't find any evidence of him being here. And as such, I am now canvassing Sydney as well, putting up signs like this one. So yes, please, if you've seen Tom in Sydney, please do let us know. We are concerned about him. We love him.
Hello, I'm Tom Gillespie. I'm investigating Hicks. You may have heard of it. Are you with me? Are you picking up sound? Are you picking up vision? Tomo, look, have you seen this? Look at this view, mate. There's another bloody cat. Another cat. That's like the 16th cat I've seen today. See, there's not every day you see a clock without its hands. And that's obviously what makes it timeless. There you go. I have a quick question. Have you heard of Richard Hart?
I don't understand because I'm Italian. What you want to ask?
We're looking for a guy called Richard Hart. He lives here in Malta. Okay, no problem. Thanks, mate.
I know the girls, not the guys.
Okay. Bloody hell, it's like there's a party going on in this town. Let's have a look here. What is going on here? Sounds like some sort of street performance. It is a street performance. Bloody hell, look at this. They're dancing. This is fantastic. Hello. Can you speak English?
Yes.
I have a quick question. Have you seen Richard Hart?
Richard?
Richard Hart.
Richard Hart. I don't know who he is.
He lives here on Malta.
And Gozo or Malta?
Was it Malta or Gozo? I'll ask that woman up on the balcony. Oh, she's run off. Oh, these are interesting door knockers. Look at this. It's like a fish. Let's see if somebody can help us out here. Number 24. It was Malta, right? It wasn't Gozo. Nobody's in here. Look at some of these doors, aren't they fantastic? Look at that one. Anything could be behind that. Here, mate. Har. Heart, mate. Heart. Oh wow, look at this. What a lovely little village vibe. There is a sort of run-down vibe though, isn't there? But this looks quite new. But on the other side it looks very old. Coruscant? No, mate. Okay. Here we go. Hello. Can you speak English? Okay. No problem. Funny how they have all these tiny little balconies in here without any sort of view or anything really. Get the sense that it might be a dead end, but then it just keeps going. Look, a little Fiat 500. Haven't seen one of them since God knows when. Well, that's not even a Fiat 500, is it? No, it's a Maruti 800. So, which number did he say? Do you remember? Was that? And it was on Malta, right? Not Gozo.
Malta is a country.
Yeah, and we need to get better researchers. Intelligence isn't always accurate, as we all know. Oh wow, look at the size of that. Mate, you need to get a clip of this. You're gonna love this. You could probably do one of those, I think it's called a zoom pan up though. It's gonna make for a beautiful piece of B-roll, I promise.
It's right there. It's behind you, mate. Other side. Up there, look. See that? And that's how we know we're on the right island. That's the Danish flag though, right? Hey mate, can you speak any English?
Not very much.
Oh, okay. We're looking for Richard Hart. He lives around here somewhere.
Pardon?
We're looking for Richard Hart. He lives here somewhere.
Richard Hart.
Richard Hart.
Is it in English?
No, I think he's an American.
In English. Wait, it's coming, that one.
Oh, we can speak with him?
Yes, to him.
Okay.
I live here, but I didn't know him.
No problem.
I'm very sorry.
No problem. Thanks for your help.
Yeah?
Can you speak English, mate?
No, I don't want camera, nothing.
Okay, that's a Fiat 500. No, that is also a Maruti 800. It's a dead end. It's another dead end.
Some of you may be familiar with the controversial cryptocurrency named Hex and its founder Richard Hart. It is very timely that we have Tom Gillespie on the show today. Tom is a disgruntled scoop coin investor, a producer of crypto film The Fakefluencer. He is currently investigating Hex, PulseX, and their founder Richard Hart. So let's get right to it. Good morning, Tom, or good afternoon for you. We're in different time zones today. I appreciate you coming on to the Halvin Report podcast.
Hey, folks, welcome back to the Wild West Crypto Show. I'm Drew.
I'm Brent.
And we have with us, with a beer in hand, Mr. Tom Gillespie. Tom, how are you doing, my man?
Very well, fellas. Much appreciated for inviting me back on the show. I mean, can you believe it? It's been nearly a year already since I was last with you guys.
Exactly. Incredible. At that time, you were doing the Fakefluencer film, which, folks, if you go to flixx.net, you can see it on there. You can support Tom and his efforts. And Tom, wanted to reach back out to you. I know you're in Miami. It's too bad we didn't get to see you there, but you are now working on a documentary or film, investigative report, whatever you want to call it.
Welcome to Rock the Block. I'm your host, John Block. We have a special guest in the house with us today. We have Mr. Tom Gillespie, who is a crypto scamdemic investigator. Tom, how are you today?
Mate, all good, all good. Bloody early in the morning here, of course. It's just hit 5 a.m. Well, it's just past 5 a.m. So please excuse my outfit. I haven't actually gotten up out of bed yet. This is the first coffee I'm having of the day. So a load of people threw a lot of tokens or sacrificed a lot of other tokens and coins to basically populate this Hex token with some perceived value, as far as I can tell. I don't want to give too much away about who I've been speaking to, but I did get to speak to one of the lead devs on that project at the time of launch, who went on to leave the project just before it launched.
You are now working on a documentary or film, investigative report, whatever you want to call it, on Richard Hart and Hex and his endeavors. I had publicly said that I think he's one of the smartest guys I've ever met in crypto. Very interesting. He's one of those guys that he's almost Donald Trumpish in that you really don't want to go pick a fight with him, because you throw a pebble and you're going to get a handful of them back at you.
Which essentially means you have to do zero to no work. You can just introduce the token and then people can lock it up for a period of time. And then that's how new tokens come into existence. There's no work involved at all. No stress. I've been hanging out on Twitter, mainly on Twitter with the Hexicans for a good 4 or 5 months now. And there is a religiosity to the Hexican culture. They thought that maybe I might be the useful idiot that can help them market their token. And I thought, okay, that's quite fascinating. So I told them up front quite early on, I said, I'm not here to advertise your token. I'm here to investigate your token. He is arguably the most hated figure in crypto. And that goes back, from what I've understood, that goes back to his earlier days as also a Bitcoin maxi that turned his back on that community to launch Hex.
Oh,
don't know, did you?
I think I pulled it up. No? Okay. You're so heady.
I think it's fine, it's going to be fine. Should I do my talk button up? I'll do my talk button up. Feels a little bit more special that way.
So, good to see you.
Hey mate, how you going?
How's it going? I was just talking about you. So
really?
you're already filming.
Yeah, he wanted to get it rolling. I've got my presentation on here.
We have a backup, but you can use your computer as well if you want.
Tom, how's it going?
Those are crypto lawyers. They work in crypto in Malta. They have a lot of stories to tell. Tom is looking for crypto fraud stories. So go crazy, kids.
Honestly, I don't have to look for crypto fraud stories. They find me.
Exactly. What's your media? What's your?
I'm documentarian. So I'm making a documentary currently, investigating a project called Hex. Hex. You might have heard of it. It's called Hex.
Hex, H-E-X. Sorry, I think the accent. Okay, Hex. Yes. Yes, I have. Okay.
Then it's going to be Tom. He's an investigative journalist from Australia doing a film.
That is a very big step up in technology, in communities, empowering the people build the community. All the interest of everyone they are all aligned to go in the same direction. People doesn't have opposite interest, and for me I do everything long term too. It's very idealistic thing, and it's even a lifestyle. I try to mix it through, investing everything with my social life, trying to mix everything. So like this I find people really that I have more affinity with them. It's natural, you know what I mean.
Welcome to Crypto Hub Malta. Welcome to Crypto Hub Malta. There we go. Okay. My name is Ferris. I'm a crypto pirate. I live in Malta and I live and breathe crypto culture every day.
So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to make like a little introduction of what is actually the metaverse. So obviously I cannot like give a precise date.
Allowing countries that are not
Now, the second speaker of the evening came a long way. He is an investigative journalist and filmmaker from Australia. And he's a very busy man because he's investigating fraud and scammy projects on blockchain. Please give a warm welcome to Tom.
Thank you kindly, Ferris. Thank you kindly. I appreciate that. Decentralization is a spectrum. This is something that has come up numerous times over the last 2 years. So, a maxi, not a Bitcoin maxi, but a general crypto maxi would suggest that decentralization is either on or off, right? It's either decentralized or it's not. But what I've learned is there is a spectrum. And most of the time, companies or groups of individuals that will launch a smart contract quite centralized will have an ambition to become decentralized in the near future. Whether it takes 6 months or 6 years is irrelevant, but they have the ambition. And these contracts or these organizations, they rely on that idea of a spectrum, a potential future achievement of full decentralization. I think it's a beautiful story for the crypto community to tap into, but I still think it leaves a lot of room for error. And I think arguably a lot of the time it leads to the kind of rug pulls, or not even rug pulls, but just like people get tired, right? They launch a contract, they have an ambition to become decentralized, but they get tired, or maybe they raise $200 million and fuck off. First of all, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming.
Can I ask, why did you invite me?
What do you mean? Why did you invite me?
Why did you
invite me? I was talking
to
you, and I think it's a good idea that somebody is investigating the scams, because frankly, I mean, you know this. There's a lot of fishy projects in the open market, and I think fundamentally everything that can be destroyed by the truth deserves to be destroyed by the truth. So if you can identify something that is wrong, this should definitely be made public in a documentary, in a film, or in a public forum like we have here. But this is the funny thing. Like, I had some bear markets, right? Last week what happened with Luna and Terra. Every time it happens, every time you're caught in the storm, I call my friends, I say,
This never happened before. I mean, I guess it happened before, but it feels wild every time when you're in the midst of it. I guess this is also why, some people that see the opportunity to take advantage of certain situations, and I'm not necessarily talking about de facto scams, more what the last speaker was talking about, that you have different liquidity pools and different positions. So if you have leveraged liquidity mining, for example, this is like double and triple and quadruple the risk. So some people, they assess these open markets, they're decentralized, there's no KYC, everything goes, and then they push it just over the edge to take advantage of this. I think this is the most crazy thing, that people get tempted, both in the good and in the bad way. It's what it makes with you when you see an opportunity, even if you have no bad intentions.
Exactly. I think what you're describing is the human nature aspect, right?
I guess so. People never change. I mean, I guess the point that you're trying to make is what people can do with it, what the utility is of any project or any tool that you can use. Like, for example, if you have the internet or if you have a computer without internet, it gets boring quite fast. Or imagine the internet completely empty. You have all the information, but there's no human to talk to anymore. I don't think the internet would be so interesting if there's no other people to interact with. I guess it's the same for blockchain projects. However, there are some problems to be solved. Same as the internet, things that we take for granted. For example, the first time you and I we were talking on the Web 2, you were literally on the other side of the world, or I don't even know, but we were not physically close, yet we could communicate just with any other person that I talk to on Facebook. And this is something we just accept. Now, if I do a financial transaction, I don't need a bank anymore because, for example, I have Bitcoin. Or more complex subjects where I'm trying to solve any other project that is more complex than sending Bitcoin from A to B, I can do with smart contracts without trusting a centralized identity.
Now, who's heard of Scootercoin? One guy. What have you heard about Scootercoin, mate?
On the fake fence, so I actually seen it.
Okay, so you learn about it. So you don't hold any Scootercoin?
I don't want to disclose that.
This is coming out in September. Who's heard of Hex?
Here.
Well, I've been looking at Hex for about 8-9 months now. I've conducted at least 50 interviews and I have spent way too much time on Twitter. Richard Hart is the creator of Hex, which is a smart contract on Ethereum, and I'd argue that it appears that he's the #1 most hated guy in crypto. Now, who's heard of Richard Hart? Even less people than Hex, okay. That's interesting because from my investigation so far, most people enter Hex via this man. The amount of people that I've spoke to who navigate into Hex specifically and many other tokens usually come through an influencer or some influential crypto character. Are they putting the trust into trustless? I don't know, but let's try to figure it out, or let's try to teach the next generations how to navigate that.
We can do we do a podcast as well. A podcast series. So we've had Angelo Darling, who's a reader. We title it The Case Against Cryptocurrency.
I'm leaving on Saturday.
We can do it Friday.
Have you heard of Hex?
Hex? Yes, I hear it here. And I wanted to invest in this, but for the moment I prefer to wait a bit because too much I lose money and I don't want to go just put and lose. I prefer to wait a bit that the situation of the market grow a bit up.
I understand. So what have you heard about Hex?
Hex, I was reading something here in the presentation a couple of weeks ago that they was doing the presentation of this platform where you stake, and they give you an income according to how much you stake. If you stake 1 month or 3 years, it depends. And it's a secure profit.
A better operation in that business. So I was hoping for democracy, but you know.
I think, unfortunately, like I said in the presentation, most people only care about getting rich in crypto.
Yes.
And the best way to do that is through a dictator or a king.
Hey, thanks a lot for the great presentation. I'm wondering why you decided not to have any coins yourself and not actually experience, being a person who owns crypto.
Well, it's very, very difficult to stay independent when you hold crypto, right? You tend to spiral down into some sort of weird utopian outlook on life where everything's going to be fine, and that's why I chose this graphic here, this one. The chains crashing. This is a great visual for what people believe about crypto. They think that suddenly they don't have to interact with centralized banking infrastructure, although most of them probably do because it's more efficient and easier to interact with. I'm trying to remain plural, but honestly, I saw some mad gains in some of the coins and I was very bloody tempted, but I decided not to. Does that answer your question?
Well, but isn't it true that you both invested in Scootercoin and in Hex, both of the projects you are now investigating?
I wouldn't call it an investment, mate. I bought some Scooter Coin. Well, I didn't buy it. My brother's son needed to. My brother's son became wrapped up in Bitman 360's escapades, so I lent a bit of money to my brother so that his kid could get some. But I wouldn't call that a direct investment. And when it comes to Hex, I spoke to production when I was doing the investigation. I said, should we try the product? And yeah, we did. We are trying the product. It continues. I've staked some Hex, but the money came from production. It's not my personal money. So it's more like, okay, we're going to investigate this product. Let's try the bloody thing, right? So I did stake some Hex, and the stake ends exactly when the movie comes out in September. But I wouldn't call that an investment. Does that answer your question, or are you still?
I guess so.
Yeah, that's okay.
Last question.
Since you have studied so many scams, what advice would you give to someone who wants to build a scam to pull it off really? What are the perfect ingredients for a scam?
Not that I want to. It's not for me. It's for a friend.
I don't want to make that information public. I'm not going to encourage such things, especially if this is live streaming, because there might be people on the other end that get ideas. So I'm sorry, I can't elaborate on that. But I do have a very good idea on how to construct one, should I be asked to. So maybe we'll meet up later for an interview. Okay, thanks, mate. Thank you, guys.
We have a 10-minute break and see you all for the class.
Telegram's best for me.
Telegram? Does Telegram have one of those automatic... Okay, great. We're just going to have a chat. That's great, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. I think not enough voices that are, trying to look at things objectively. when you're talking about communities and you identified that piece, it's really all about communities, and especially in NFTs, but also crypto. It's and this is where the tribes come in, and the apes, which is why it's really good art. Seneca made that art, and the apes and Bored Ape Yacht Club was kind of a representation of what was going on in the background with, you have these apes, like these kind of dumb figures that have yachts, and yet at the same time it's kind of a community of at that time guys, but people in this space. And there's a certain real community that's built through things like the IRL, the in real life events, and then having the same thing. It's like kids with the same baseball cards or whatever, right? You're both the same team, right? You're both interested in the Red Sox or the Wallabies, whatever it's Australian team that you guys like. And the community aspects are one I've found in NFTs and also crypto, that it's in a way therapeutic. It's a missing group of people, friendships, things like that maybe were missing in your life. Maybe you don't have close family relationships or positive family relationships. And basically, it's a replacement for that. It's a replacement for lost family tribe. It's like new tribes. And it's kind of cool when you think about it, because it's around NFTs, especially around creativity, or with crypto around a different centralized idea, a different central idea that then carries these believers forward. And that's why it's different than a Ponzi scheme, because it's different in many ways. One, there's different use cases that actually make it viable, like a smart contract in Ethereum's case, or the fact that you can't debase the Bitcoin like a traditional currency. But the possibility of communities forming around an idea, and this is in the virtual space, and people just feel like they belong. They feel like they're special, and this has been marketed and used for marketing a lot with the coins. And the Bored Ape Yacht Club is a great example of that, where it's just selling exclusivity. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting phenomenon. How long these communities will last is a different story.
Where are we at in 5 years' time?
Wow, that's a nice closer question, actually. Where are we at in 5 years' time with NFTs? NFTs will replace a lot of ownership verification systems, credentialing systems, and anything that can have a transfer of ownership can be mediated through an NFT. And since it's such an easy technology and so many people have gotten into, that'll be have a major influence on ownership and transfer of ownership. And then another area where it's having a major impact already is digital art and the transformation of art into digitalized spaces. And so you have now NFTs moving and doing lots of things, building on themselves in artificial intelligence. And so it's a nice connection between the people, like the starving artist who doesn't have the marketing and has to pay third parties, to have direct access to a whole bunch of clientele. And then also I see NFTs being a function of currency, a type of currency for young people. Now that's something people aren't talking about with NFTs, but it's a type of currency. It's a bartering system. Hey, you give me an ape and I'll give you a rabbit, right? And the ape and the rabbit are worth some externally connected currency like US dollars. And so I give you an ape and you give me a rabbit, and it's all like nobody is regulating that. The problem with NFTs though, and could be the Achilles heel, and I don't know if it will be or not, is the self-dealing. So selling the ape to yourself for a high amount of money. and that's not regulated. Whereas if you do that if I sold my own products to myself in like a business, I would be in trouble. But nobody in the NFT world's in trouble for that.
You're
But
describing Pumpamentals.
Pumpamentals, is that what it is? I love that you got all the buzzwords, man. That's a good label. Pumpamentals.
It's my job.
Yeah, so I see a lot of future for NFTs, and truthfully, I see a lot more future for NFTs in crypto because there's a super valid use for them. Like what we're doing, I'm getting ready to erase some student debt in the United States, erase it through NFTs and as digital badges that are sponsored. Just that would sponsor education, and then that as people on a merit-based system, as people achieve their education outcomes, and they get cryptocurrency and these NFT awards badges. And so there's lots of different uses of NFTs in the real world, and I see it being a major success.
And you might have picked it up when I was talking in my presentation about dictators versus democracy. I don't know if you saw my...
Yeah, I did. I love that, actually. That was one of the best points of the whole thing. Well, that's the point of the future of decentralization. But and when people look at that as different than what we have in the real world right now, it's no different. People fall for propaganda. People fall for fake news. People fall for misinformation. People fall for hype. People fall for pumpamentals, whether it's a stock or whether it's an NFT, and so I don't see the human nature changing, unfortunately. But I do hope that it will correct itself and start to figure itself out.
Yeah, good news. Good news. Yeah, no, we found his bloody castle, eh? Malta. Malta. It's on fucking Malta. Yeah, I know. Yeah, mate.
Do you know why this is his house?
What?
Do you know why this is his house?
Hang on a second, Tomo's asking me some stupid questions here. I'll phone you back.
I know this is his house.
This is his house?
Yes.
Okay. How do you know that?
2 reasons. First of all, he has the Danish flag on top of the house.
Okay.
And then the house looks like an ace.
A what?
An ace.
A H?
An H.
We've just arrived at what we believe to be Richard Hart's home here in Malta, where he has put himself behind some extremely thick fortress walls, and our hope is that he lives here and that we can get a word, maybe an interview if we're lucky. Here, mate.
I would stay here.
Why is that?
I'm afraid,
There's no need to be afraid.
It's trespassing.
What?
Trespassing.
Well, one more time, mate. I can't understand a bloody word you're saying. Stress, what?
Trespassing.
Trespassing.
See.
Christ's sake.
Look.
What is it, mate?
There it is.
Jesus, is that him up there?
I think so.
Richard! Richard, mate! Richard, mate, come up! Richard Hart! Mate, can you come down? Mate, come on. Don't be like that. Richard Hart, can you come down, mate? Can you come down? Bloody hell, Tomo, I think that's him. I think we've struck gold. Richard, come down, mate. Come down from your castle now. Stop playing king, silly buggers. Fucking hell, what the fuck is that? Jesus. There he is again.
I said, I'm not here to advertise your token, I'm here to investigate your token. Now, the thing with a lot of these projects in the crypto economy is that they are so bloody complex, not only technically, financially, but economic game theoretically. He hijacked the Bitcoin brand essentially and called this thing Bitcoin Hex in the early days. I think he pissed off a lot of people, made a lot of enemies, and he did that, from what I've come to understand, is because he could. and that's why he did it. Like, people go to university for upwards of 6 to 7 years to study this kind of stuff, and people are supposed to absorb this over Twitter, and in Telegram groups. It's just bloody ridiculous. It's ridiculous. A number of people also have suggested that he is using the scam terminology and all that orbits around it as a strategic marketing advantage, and I think that's pretty typical of Richard, to be able to take something that is typically a negative and spin it in a way that presents him and his project as a positive. And so when I reached out to him in 2019 for the interview about the Fakefluencer, I spoke to him for a good hour and a half or 2 hours there. And when I pinged him that first time on Telegram, I said, I want to talk about the crypto scamdemic, making a documentary. He was like, I'll talk about the crypto scamdemic for hours, mate. So, he even sent me 4K footage of him in his den there afterwards to use in the film. He's figured out a way to use the scam narrative in crypto to his advantage. And what it does actually is it's a little bit like this, all publicity is good publicity. Like, people need to be taught, as long as they're talking about you, he couldn't give a shit what they're saying. They just need to keep talking about it. I'm about to hop on the line with a guy called Scott Cunningham, and he reached out to me with a blog post that he created called Why I Sold All My Hex, and that was quite a lot of information actually, and it was posted a year ago. So let's see what he has to say for himself. He's coming on the line now. So let's start just with a brief intro about yourself and why we're having this conversation.
Sure. So a little about myself. I'm Scott Cunningham. I went to school for networking and IT security for 4 years, graduated, and then I started diving into blockchain. I work as a social media manager, and I wanted to start diving into crypto social media and blockchain social media. So I've been doing that for quite some time. And during that process, I've been, looking at a lot of different things, reviewing projects, and I started to get into a little bit of investigations, I guess, and looking into certain projects that I think are, not up to a scruff, and I think people should be somewhat warned about, because, it's hard to get information, and there's a lot of new people coming into the space. And one of those projects that I looked at was Hex.
Yeah, I haven't seen another project which has the mechanisms built in to enrich a particular, entity as much as Hex does, and kind of enrich them in perpetuity, while simultaneously having a lot of those mechanisms understated or swept under the rug when the coin's being talked about.
Well, I happened upon one of your posts regarding, covering this project, and I really felt like I had something to say about it, especially because I'm concerned. I've read a lot about people taking out, home equity lines of credit on their homes and loans and stuff, investing their life savings in this project, and I find it really alarming.
I appreciate you reaching out to me, and as you may have seen, I've had a little bit of trouble getting hold of people that have more of a critical perspective on Hex. So just to be clear, are you a Hexican?
No, not really. I have never invested in the asset, and probably I will never will.
People are just embracing the idea these days that apes together are strong, right? So they look at Richard Hart as the head monkey in the group, right? And he throws a couple bananas their way, and that makes them satisfied. There's no more illusions for people that jump into Hex. People that get into Hex are very clear. It's a joke.
Let me just start off by just saying my name's Lawrence, and I go under the pen name Lawsu. So I have written a few articles about Hex. When I did my 1 year stake, I left mostly because the Ethereum gas fees, and then also because I just started seeing things that were going on with Hex that just didn't feel right for me.
I really didn't realize that there was such a avid, community around this. I saw it as something, I don't know if you're familiar with Trevon James, was a big proponent of BitConnect back in the day. Well, when Hex first came out, he was, still promoting Hex. So everybody saw it as, pretty much the same thing. And when I made these videos and I see people comment, I noticed, like you mentioned, kind of a juvenile, approach to it. Like just the way they speak, you could tell that they don't have a lot of experience within crypto. The responses are personal attacks. They're not explanations of why I'm wrong. They're just very flat and very targeted. And it's very surprising to see that in the community.
There are people, that will sort the ranking of coins based on market cap, and there are other people that will sort based on how many active addresses there are, because they believe, that probably if there are many addresses on the game, then it means that there are many holders. So it means that, the network is bigger. So probably it has a larger potential, I would say.
You could argue that this toxic community is somehow not part of Richard Hart. Like they're two separate entities, right? So maybe he just created this great project and the community is toxic, but that's usually not the case. The community creates itself off of the creator.
Originally, like most people, I was very enthused and I bought some and it went up. But as I looked into it a little bit more, I decided that I didn't think it was ethical and good for me to be invested in any amount or endorsing it tacitly by being invested. And so I did a more deep dive and then I posted that post.
The origin address, had at one point over 90% of the supply. I don't know what the current supply looks like, but I would imagine it's pretty similar. So, I'd say from that standpoint, my concerns about Hex have come true. But, obviously the price has done a lot better than I thought it would have, and the market cap has done a lot better than I thought it would have. So there are people that have made, significant amounts of money off it. And that's something that, is a bit contrary to what I was expecting to happen.
It's a joke. And the reason they look at Richard, and Richard can get away with saying he created a better Bitcoin, because he's not mincing words. He'll tell you straight up, this is a pump coin. It's going to pump harder than Bitcoin. It's going to pump harder than anything out there. He has no illusions. He is like Richard Hart. I'll give him credit. Like, he's an annoying guy, but at the end of the day, the Bitcoin maxis hate him because he knows the formula. He knows the formula, and he's doing it better. He doesn't care about this whole anti-state sort of thing. He's just looking for number go up. And yeah, all the power to him. Keep your scam going, but don't people shouldn't have any illusions that this is like some sort of future technology.
Oh, you about to make Hexicans mad at me. Wow. Okay, so
that's one of the major things about Hex that makes me just say, I'm gonna stay back. Because I don't mind centralization. I understand the necessity for it in some cases. But what I do hope for is to take that centralization, use it to build something, and then give it to the people, make it decentralized. What I see with Hex is a centralized product, a very centralized product. And the community have become maximalist and don't really, like, they believe that it's the most decentralized asset out there, but it is not. It's the complete opposite of that. I would say that it's like way on the end where it's like centralized, but it could be decentralized if Richard was willing to allow the community to have it. What I figure the issue is that Richard doesn't trust his own community. To create a valuable asset, trust is the most valuable characteristic. He's not trusting his community, and his community puts far too much trust in him, almost blindly.
And when he's talking about Pumpamentals, he's saying that the way that Hex is designed is that it's going to pump, which you could argue maybe is true or not. At least it was designed in the code originally to be that way. And this can't really happen anymore because the flush address, the printing of Hex was only for the first year. But within the first year, there were specific days when, and I've marked this all in the article, specific days when, millions of dollars worth would be withdrawn. And shortly after, we would see massive pumps on Hex.
I think the fact that the token sales was deliberately misrepresented as something other than a token sale makes Hex a scam. I think that's a sort of a lower level of scam to if the origin address were to just simply sell all the coins and kind of leave no value for everyone holding the bags, if you will. So I think it is already a scam, but it has the potential to be even more of a scam if certain actions are taken by the origin address.
This is a cash-in. He's cashing in on the fad of decentralization. Everybody's cashing in on the fad of decentralization. I was in a room yesterday criticizing NFTs with a bunch of NFT lovers, and the whole thing was revolved around the idea that, for the first time in history, the art scene has become decentralized, and regular artists can enter too, like they never could in the past. Come on, man. Like, seriously? It doesn't change anything. If in the past, people, certain artists could not get their art purchased by, say, big-time art collectors, why is that? And we need to ask why the buyers didn't buy. Not how to make it easier for people to sell. What makes your art special, right? So I think decentralization is being pushed as some sort of new thing that adds, a new flavor, a new sliced bread sort of take on everything. And it's just a fad. It's not real, and it's people cashing in.
Well, that's what is shown here. If you wanted to get the...
But that's nothing.
38 billion.
Oh, I didn't see the B there. So.
He used to be kind of a Bitcoin maximalist.
He actually really wants people to like him.
We took a camera and he said, I said, I don't know anything about, the only thing that I know is that you said that you were forking Bitcoin.
So in that sense, he kind of made quite of a U-turn.
All right, Hexicans, Tom Gillespie here.
Wait a second, is that him in the window? Zoom into that window. Is that him?
And then he said, I'll explain the project to you and you can tell me your opinion. But that was before I knew that he had like a strategy with this.
The degree to which a given blockchain is decentralized is noticed only by a few hardcore geeks, right? Because otherwise in the media universe, everyone throws that term around.
This is like his number one priority, is he wants people to like him.
He wasn't just trying to get my opinion on Hex. He was knowingly trying to get, like, marketing his project through the opinions of other influential people in the cryptocurrency space.
In some ways, Richard, by having such a large amount of supply, has reintroduced a trust element in a system that is supposed to be a fundamental part of it is trustlessness.
It doesn't have to be one cult for a decentralized network.
It is difficult to prove decentralization if you cannot read code.
But like many other, he's not the only one. There's many other who have done the same. And I guess it's just when the opportunity arises, then some people take the opportunity, some people don't.
Because the Howey test was written back in the God knows when, it doesn't apply, or it needs a refresh, I would say.
We all are actually trying to make cryptocurrency and decentralization, become mainstream, but we can't even get along.
The network ate through me, the data, it tracked me, the fake news convinced me, I'm lonely, please like me, new leaders persuade me, your platform is social, your algos can reason, in a world in which you spin. I feed you my selfish, so you can deepfake me, to sell me and profit with no thoughts of joining you. Yeah, this feed is our nutrient, my data, your product, while memes grow, the foolish ones now working for nothing. No online sharing, machine surveillance, they know our weakness, and it's time for something more decentralized. It's time for something more decentralized. It's time for something more decentralized. With attention, you feed me surveillance, my entry, your freedom, it grows me, so I can feel within. I'm conscious, revealing all the good I have to give. On corrupt devices, I'm sharing a thought that fills my dome. The algorithm is yearning, observing your thinking. The high mind is glowing while here alone in rooms. Now online sharing, machine surveillance, they know our weakness, It's time for something more decentralized. Big data for the kings when we all sign in, when we all sign in. Big data for the kings when we all sign in, when we all sign in. Big data for the kings when we all sign in, when we all sign in. Big data for the kings when we all sign in, when we all sign in. Decentralized, decentralized. It's time for something more decentralized. It's time for something more decentralized, decentralized.
Tokenomic finance system. I mean, it may be what they're doing is a good way to make money. It may be innovative on the level of quantitative finance. It's still run by a small set of people as a centralized financial protocol on top of blockchain and smart contracts, right? And then there are other DeFi networks out there right now that are more fundamentally decentralized in their operation. There's nothing out there that's as decentralized as Linux or the internet yet in the blockchain world. On the other hand, blockchain hasn't been around that long as a major force. So I would say that's coming. I mean, I think progressive decentralization is a real thing, and it does take years given the pace at which people's mindsets develop and the pace at which software development happens.
Yeah, I think it seems like a lot of the controversies or hypocrisies around the decentralization value proposition now often comes back to this idea of the benevolent dictator. So most people that gather around, tribes, altcoin tribes, or they get very, very embedded in the community, and they become somewhat fanatical about their coin. And often there's in the case of Bitcoin, it's Satoshi, but there are numerous other icons that.
Yeah, the power of a charismatic leader to rally together a tribe of followers is real. On the other hand, when it becomes big enough, and if it's architected well enough, a decentralized protocol, a decentralized network can host a variety of different cults and charismatic leaders within it. It doesn't have to be one cult for a decentralized network.
There are some things that I didn't understand initially about Hex that I can sympathize more with today. Like, for instance, the argument that when you stake Hex, like in my opinion, and why the reason why I call it the dumbest fucking thing that I've ever heard in my entire life, was because staking Hex doesn't secure any blockchain. Like, when you stake Ethereum, you are participating in the proof of stake consensus algorithm, and you are providing security to the Ethereum system. So that makes sense to pay people to do that type of activity in Ethereum tokens. Or you're providing liquidity to DeFi protocol, and other people can leverage that to get a better price for their assets that they're trading, or they can get leverage when they trade. So those things make sense to have a yield for. But in the Hex system, you're just locking up your Hex tokens, and then you get more Hex tokens. Why? Like, what's the purpose of that? That's why I think it's pretty stupid, like pointless thing. But the thing that I didn't account for then is the argument that, well, when you stake your Hex, you take some hex out of circulation, and the value of the unstaked hex, it goes up in value. So, and the people who are then unstaked, they benefit from that constrained liquidity, that they are one of the few that are unstaked, so they get a higher price for their hex, so they can sell their hex for more. Like it's difficult to see like what's the societal benefit to all of this. That some people are staking their hex and they're earning part of the hex supply. Some people get a higher value for their hex. Like it's not that they haven't invented a mechanism that creates a secure blockchain. Like hex doesn't secure the Ethereum system. It might do in terms of like generating some minor extractable value in that sense, but that's very marginal to the overall MEV that's being generated by the Ethereum system. Yes, there is a dynamic there. You can play around with it. There's some potential, like you can force people to stake for a longer period of time, and it makes the supply even like forcibly constrained. People can't change their mind as easily as in Bitcoin when they just go back to. But I mean, people want to have the ability to be able to access their money, right? By forcing them to stake, by locking them into this game where they accumulate more hex and then punishing them if they want to go out. Like, what if something happens in my life? Like, what if my mother gets sick and I need that money? Now I get punished for trying to access that money. I don't think that necessarily is a good, like that the difference between Bitcoin and hex in that regard, with having this mechanism, speaks in favor of hex. It's different, yes, but I'm not sure that it's necessary to have that. I don't see that it's societally beneficial.
In some ways, Richard, by having such a large amount of supply, has introduced a trust element in a system that is supposed to be a fundamental part of it is trustlessness. So that, I think that's probably the best accusation that anyone can make against Hex.
If Richard has reintroduced the trust element, he's, from what I've seen over the last few years, he's not the only one,
Oh, yeah. No, everything else in DeFi is basically trusted. There's a massive, even worse.
Exactly. And so why does it get to market itself as DeFi, decentralized, right? When it's clearly centralized still.
The term we use is DINO, decentralized in name only. One of the things that I think is important to note is that as time goes on, I think that's the best indication of Hex not being a scam, is the amount of time that's passed without it being a rug pull. There's that Lindy effect, that the longer something has been around for, the longer it's likely to be around for.
Richard he actually really wants people to like him. Okay, this is like his number one priority, is he wants people to like him. If anybody could do an analysis on him, you will see that is very important to him. See, if you're in a position where you have more money than you could possibly spend in your entire life, what do you want then? You want the things that you can't buy. Well, what things can't you buy? You can't buy respect. You can't buy adoration. You can't buy a loyal following. You have to earn that. It's frustrating for people that don't create or don't build things to see somebody else who has those abilities gaining all of this attention and taking this attention away from them. So there's a lot of jealousy in the space. I mean, what do these other influencers or these other haters actually contribute to society?
Technically, Hex is decentralized, but for the first year, he was freely able to manipulate the price however he wanted. Now, he can't do that, but it's already baked in. So it's like, is it truly decentralized? I wouldn't say so. I mean, the design is, but the core concept and the original kind of design that he created for a sort of a loophole for himself within the decentralized ecosystem is the major issue. A lot of platforms say that they're decentralized and they're not. It's kind of become a buzzword. Even Uniswap, where like it's the largest decentralized exchange on Ethereum, not very long ago they were forced to remove a ton of tokens, and they did that. So how decentralized is that really if the SEC can, open a case and then tell them to remove a bunch of tokens and they do it?
But initially, I thought there was not the support. There was not enough people involved to really see this project through a few years. And now with the community and just the effort, it's like, wow, there's some people really going after the marketing to really push this project. But hopefully you can't have a repeat of, BitConnect, because people are more informed. I feel like the average person knows more about crypto than they did 4 or 5 years ago. And I hope that will lend, them to see what actually is going on, and to be a little bit more skeptical. Because I think 4 years ago, some people even thought BitConnect was Bitcoin. So they thought, if I'm buying Bitcoin, I'm getting it from BitConnect. That's the only way to do it. Now they know Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin, they know all these different coins, and hopefully they have the knowledge to steer clear of Hex.
Because the Howey test was written back in the God knows when, it doesn't apply, or it needs a refresh, I would say. And with the current tech, we managed to find a way to bypass certain bullets of the Howey test. And that's what not only Richard apparently is doing, but many other projects. But it doesn't mean that the project is decentralized because it passes the Howey test. A decentralized project means that it doesn't have a central point of failure. And as long as Richard is leading the project, as long as someone holds access to the OA, then it means that there is a central point of failure. And that central point of failure is someone dumping the coins. When it comes to Bitcoin, we don't know if Satoshi is alive or if he is planning to dump his coins. But the market at this point has such liquidity that even if it dumps the coins, probably the market will start sucking it up.
I have a very apocalyptic view of blockchain. I think that in the end you're going to have it's either one chain is going to rule them all, or nothing's going to work. So I believe within the next 5 years, majority of everything is going to die, or we're going to have a crazy Ponzi world, for the unforeseeable future. It either works or it doesn't. And the only thing that I can see actually taking the mantle of this zero-sum game is whichever blockchain can scale.
We all are actually trying to make cryptocurrency and decentralization, become mainstream, but we can't even get along. We can't even work together. We're fighting each other all the time. Once Hex can change its direction as far as the toxicity goes, I think it can actually grow even more. Pulse Chain could grow a lot just based on being collaborative. Like, I see all these people mad and upset because there's going to be people outside of the quote unquote Hex community building on Pulse. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, welcome it. Make bridges. Don't burn them down. Because if you keep burning down your bridges, you're going to be on an island. And when the hurricane comes, what you going to do? What you going to do? Where you going to go? You know what I'm saying? And then you're stuck, and it could all fall apart, just like BitConnect.
Hey y'all, here's Tom the Lesbian. I just arrived in New York. I'm gonna do some investigation for the Hex conference. I hear there's some NASCAR races going on, and we're gonna investigate even further. Since 2 years I'm doing a lot of investigation, haven't found out anything. Just stay tuned for more.
Hexicans, Tom Gillespie here. As you know, I've been investigating the scandemic that is Hex. Despite all the controversies on the Twitters, I have landed the most exclusive interview with a top-tier whale in the Hexican community. He has asked that his identity remain hidden due to his ex-gang affiliation. Now let's get into it. G'day, mate. Pleasure to have you here with us. You're not an easy one to track down, are ya?
Yeah, and I'd like to keep it that way.
Rumour has it is that you got your name Wales only from your preference in women, is that true?
Man, what the fuck? Hell no.
Alright, can you give us a little detail about your time as a gang member?
What you mean, gang member?
Yes, says here that you were a member of the Quant Gang.
Quant gang? That's not even a real gang, bro. What the fuck? Are you for real? Get out of here, man. Next question.
Alrighty then, next question it is. Just give me a second. Here we go. Are you always angry, or is it some kind of defense mechanism?
Man, this interview is a fucking joke. These are some dumbass questions. You're wasting my fucking time. You got about 3 seconds to ask some real questions or I'm gonna bounce.
Hey, no need for the hostility, mate. I've got the question that's been on everybody's mind. What is your favorite color?
Alright, I'm over this. Yeah, this is fucking stupid.
Alright, well that wraps up today's interview. Don't think it could have gone any better. Now tune in next week till we see how many people can block us on the Twitters. Alright. Oh, that's the fuck of this! Get me off Scooter Coin!
Give me a moment there. I've just got to do something here. Hang on a second. Yeah, I'm coming. Hang on. Fuck's sake. Who is it? Is it Tomo? Tomo. Hey. How you going? Having a bit of a trouble here. I've dropped the tweezers into extremely hot water in the sink here, so I can't get them without burning my fingertips.
What did you drop in there?
The tweezers, my eyebrow tweezers.
Tweezers.
For tweezing eyebrow hairs that you don't want. Usually they congregate just there in the middle.
No, senor, you can go unibrown. It's very popular in Spain.
Picking that up?
Unicolor. It's very popular in Spain.
Didn't quite, yeah.
Listen to me, senor Tom. Unibrown.
No, you're right. It is. In Italy as well. Some parts of Australia even. Never mind, I've put a coffee on. Also, I popped down the shop just recently. There's a shop called Ika. And basically, I don't know where you want to put that, but I'll just put it there. You get 4 soaps, perfume-free soaps. For I think I paid just under $1.50 for 4 soaps. That's actually quite a lot of value there. If you need a soap.
Do they accept Australian dollar here in Sweden?
No, but I did the calculation, the exchange rate.
Okay, so you're paying in Swedish crowns?
Yes.
Yes, because is that the reason you said I paid $1.50?
No, just under $1.50.
Yes, so that's not correct, huh?
Well, I mean it's not accurate, but we
so
deal
you
with.
should have said I paid equivalent to $1.50, right?
Well, it was under $1.50, so it's not equivalent to anything, mate. Do you want a coffee? I've just
no,
boiled.
Thank you, Thank
you want 2 sugars or 1?
Senor, I don't want any coffee. Okay.
There's someone at the door there. No one there, but they've left a book. D. Carla Honom Bitcoin Mill John Oren.
I see.
You recognise that guy?
I have seen him somewhere, yes.
Apparently he's called Jessica Dunkers. Looks like a man.
But we're in Sweden, maybe it's a female, maybe it's a male name here.
Yeah, Jessica might be like one of those names that can be used for a man.
Like Jamie?
It's in Swedish, so it's not really going to be any use to me until my Swedish gets a little bit better. Well, they got a couple of movies, a couple of DVDs in here, Tomo.
That's old school.
That's pretty cool, eh? Something called The Reader.
I fancy myself as a bit of a reader as well. Do you read, Tomo?
Books?
Well, no, DVDs. DVD.
Read DVDs.
I read this post today called you may not be the best poker player, but you can at least pick the dumbest table, and that choosing what table you sit at is at least as important as how well you play.
We are now on a red
Song, Richard Hart, Tone Ways, and me in 2017 in, I don't remember what date, but in August, I think. Yeah, so I was at an event in 2018, I think it was, yeah. And there, it was in Stockholm, and I met Richard Hart on this event, and we spent some time talking just between two presentations, and he told me about his plan to launch something. What I remember, it was called Bitcoin Hex at that time, not too far away from when Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Gold, I think, was released as forks of Bitcoin blockchain. And he had some innovative idea on how he wanted to launch his own token, but still somehow based on the Bitcoin blockchain. So the distribution would be similar to Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Gold. Now it's quite a few years ago, so I guess things have changed since then. But at that time, what I remember was it was more like, well, if they could do it, and I refer to the Bitcoin Cash team or the guys behind Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Gold, if they could do it, I mean, I could do it. That's more or less how he phrased it. That why not do it? Everyone else is doing it, so why not do it? And I mean, he had a knowledge and the skill and the experience, so yeah, he went for it, and it seems he has been successful in it.
Okay, so Hex exists purely because it can.
Isn't everything that way? I mean, at least Satoshi Vision, Craig Wright's creation, is definitely just because he could, and so he did. I mean, anyone can create an altcoin, anyone can create a token. So if you have influence, if you have followers or a community of people that believes in you and what you want to create or make, then why not? In this time at 2018, when I met him in Stockholm, we didn't get that much time to talk. I mean, there was so many other who wanted to talk to him as well and so on. But I did actually have a chance a year earlier in 2017 already to have a longer discussion on a live show on Crypto Network something on YouTube. And at that time, everything was about Bitcoin Cash, and I remember him being kind of negative towards the whole big blocker Bitcoin Cash fork. So it's kind of interesting that he actually did release just 2 years later his own kind of fork.
Let's have a look here. It was page. So if you look here, come around here, right, and look at this. Dix Mount is a country road on raised land on the outskirts of the village. The name is likely to be an informal use of the name Richard, who may have been a former resident there, for the likely meaning is the hill where Richard lives. Dix Mount. And that's right here in St. Peters in Jersey. So this is where we're going to head. Anything about Richard Hart?
I know the name.
Are you rolling?
No.
Oh, you don't want to be on camera? Okay. No, we're making a documentary for Australian television about Richard Hart. So apparently he lives up here somewhere. So we're just getting a couple of wide shots, some establishing material. But we'll try to stay out of your way.
Drones up above us as well.
We haven't got a drone with us this time, actually. Could be better through here even. You got the whole bay there, you know. Okay, we're rolling already. So I've just arrived at St. Peters. That behind me is Dix Mount, where we are hoping to
get in touch with Richard Hart. Supposedly he lives in one of those properties along the top of the hill there. I'm confident that the intelligence that I've received about the location of Richard Hart in this year 20 of 22s is St. Peter's, Dixmount, Jersey. So let's go up and start knocking a few doors and see if we can't find out what we can find out. Excellent job, Tomo, excellent job. Absolutely. Shenley? Oh, I don't. I'm not from around here, actually. I'm from abroad. Get a shot of those views down there, Tomo. Look at that view. And zoom in down there. That's St. Peter's Bay, I think it's called. Get a few shots through there, zoom in through there, and I'll try this one.
Infinity Household.
Yeah, g'day, Tom Gillespie here from Australian Television. I'm looking to find a Mr. Richard Hart. Is he in?
Hart. Bill, there's another one here asking about him. He lives next door. The man is an insufferable egomaniac. I once caught him out on his lawn wearing only women's underwear, filming himself gobbling footlongs while singing Shirley Bassey's version of Big Spender.
Right, okay.
What do you want with Mr. Art? Tread carefully.
No, Richard Hart. He created Hex, the cryptocurrency Hex.
Hart.
He's supposed to live here up on Dixmount. This is Dixmount.
Yes, this is Dixmount. Almost all Richards live here. Dear, there's a documentarian here asking about cryptocurrency called Hart.
Hang up! It's that bloody salesman again. I can see him on the camera.
My husband asks that you leave. Please leave now.
Okay. Thanks for your time. So I think I've found it. Finally found it. It's definitely not that one. It appears to be this beauty here. I'll let you have a peek through the gate. Now, I don't know how long Richard Hart's been living here, of course, but as you can see, it's got a certain sort of establishment about it that's very Richard Harty. See if anyone's in. Swing the camera around, mate, so you can see the house.
Oh, residents?
Yeah, hello. Hello. Yeah, it's Tom Gillespie here. I'm inquiring about a Mr. Richard Hart.
What on earth makes you think he lives here? This property is not formally registered anywhere on the planet, and it will do you a service to get off my property immediately, else I shall set the dogs upon you.
Right.
I'm powering up my chainsaw now.
Okay, mate. Okay. Right, calm down. No, Australian Television. Yeah, we're making a documentary about Richard
You
Hart.
don't even sound Austrian. It's people like you that make it extremely difficult for people like me to go unnoticed in this world. Wait, Richard Hart? Why does that name ring a bell?
Yeah, no, he lives around here. Yeah, this is Dixmount, right?
You mean Richard Hart, the serial entrepreneur, author, YouTube, and philanthropist, and founder of Hex? There's a few houses down, the one with the red maple at the entrance.
It's like we might be in the wrong place. Thanks for your help. Thank you.
Sid, my love, we used to play hide and sausage together.
Hello. No. Just doing a bit of research. No, we're up here at Dixmount now. Yeah, he's supposed to live up here. Well, we've tried a couple of houses already, but no luck so far. Yes, I'm bloody certain. Yeah, all right, okay, see ya. Yeah, g'day. It's Tom Gillespie here from Australian Television. I'm investigating a Richard Hart of Hex, and I believe he lives here. Is that correct?
Again. I'm not Richard Hart, serial entrepreneur, author, YouTuber, philanthropist. You can tell Richard from me, his stupid documentary is not going to make his
okay, but
better. I fucking hate this shit.
Yeah, all right, mate,
Get
calm
off my
down.
property right now. Leave me. Take your stupid red pants with you. Yeah, I see you, man.
Okay then, no problem. Thank you for your
He doesn't
time.
have a fucking chance of beating me out of this bear market.
Jesus Christ.
He used to be a kind of a Bitcoin maximalist, only referring to Bitcoin as the real digital currency, the real decentralized blockchain, and so forth. So in that sense, he kind of made quite of a U-turn when he's launching his own blockchains and networks and coins and tokens and whatever it is. So, but like many other, I mean, he's not the only one. There's many other who have done the same. And I guess it's just when the opportunity arises, then some people take the opportunity, some people don't. I don't see anything wrong in that, as long as it's a fair game, that everyone has a fair chance to, for example, read and understand the source code or the white paper, or understand how the fundamentals of the system work.
How do you think Richard feels about constantly being called a scammer? Do you think it gets to him at all?
Well, I think that Richard had been in the cryptocurrency industry long enough to know which type of actions would get labeled as what. So I don't think that it came to surprise at all to Richard. Well, maybe he did get like so in love with his own project that he genuinely thought that, because with me, when he had the interview with me, like he was saying to me multiple times, like I genuinely think that I've invented something new here. And I was like, Richard, you told me back in 2018 that you were just forking Bitcoin like for the heck of it, right? And now you've created this. Now all of a sudden your creation is like a miracle from God. Like how is that just marketing tactic, or do you genuinely believe that? And for a long time I thought that this was just a marketing tactic by Richard, but having like spoken to Richard multiple times since then, like on the phone, I do think that he does actually think that what he has created is revolutionary. So he has either swallowed his own marketing material to the extent that he actually believes, and I think that that's the case. So like if you would have gone back a couple of years and you said, Richard, what would you have thought about a guy that created a token and then he controlled 90% of the supply of that token, and in order to get that token you had to send like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of ether to a specific address that somebody controlled, and that money just gets siphoned out of the system, and then you have this sort of redundant circular game where people are staking to earn more of the same token. Like, what would you think about that type of game where somebody owns 90% of the supply, and then he was like, oh, this sounds like somebody's probably trying to create some type of Ponzi or some type of scam. Like, he would probably have thought that himself. But now that he has created this thing himself and he has thought about it for a very long time, I think that he thinks that Hex fits into a specific category of a pumpamental game that does not shouldn't be labeled as such. So I think that Richard is genuine in some way when he boasts this innovation as revolutionary in some way. So I think that he is being genuine when he says that, but I think that he has spent so much time on it that maybe there's like a curse of falling in love with your own invention. Like if you spend a lot of time on something, it's your baby, right? And he has done a lot of work on it, like getting someone to code the thing, audit the thing. It has never been exploited. The Hex system has never been exploited. It is transparent. Tons of other DeFi protocols have rug pulls and exploits and oracles and centralized components to it. The only point of centralization in the Hex system is the massive amounts of supply that Richard owns. But technically speaking, there isn't this reliance on centralized oracle feeds or anything like that. So there's some parts, like there's some elegancy to the Hex design that other projects that exist out there don't have. So maybe for that reason, that's the reason why he feels that he shouldn't get criticized. And he made like the creator of the Hex project. They made hundreds of millions of dollars in what they sold the HEX tokens for, and all of it went to an address that said like this is the product is finished, and we're just going to take the money in and do nothing now. Well, maybe we're going to market the project, but we're not going to innovate. Like we're not going to develop the thing anymore. Like it's finished. So I think that's pretty unusual that a DeFi founder raises that much capital for himself and then just leaves the project to be running on its own after that.
How do you prove decentralization?
How do you prove decentralization?
If I'm looking at a project, I'm considering putting some coins in there. What's a quick way that a newcomer can identify these core?
Yeah, it is difficult to prove decentralization if you cannot read code. If you can read and understand code, and you can run, for example, the Bitcoin client, and you can see what it does, and you can understand that the amounts of proof of work that is behind each block, that there's like these tokens aren't coming out of thin air. There's genuinely electricity being burned for almost equal the value. Like you can look at the hashes and say, okay, that's like if I try to come up with that number, like that hash value on my computer, I can't do it. So there must be like some supercomputer somewhere doing that. And then you can look at how your client is pairing with other nodes. Where am I getting information from? Like, am I just listening to a central server to tell me about the blocks in the system that are coming in, or am I getting it from multiple nodes? Can I look at the connections?
So you need some. It's quite sophisticated.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to prove the decentralized, like for yourself, you need to be a technical person. But if you're not a technical person, then you have to do your research about the project and speak to people that you believe to be legitimate to describe what is happening inside of this system. And so if you're not a technical person at all, it comes down to trusting people around you. But with the Bitcoin project and all the technical people, like because the reality of the project is such that the client does, peer with tons of other nodes in the network, and there is proof of work behind each block, then the world can, like people in the world can understand that this project is decentralized.
The storm will eventually run out of rain. Be patient while you wait for your sunshine to return. Makes sense, doesn't it, really? I've spent a year with the Hexicans, and in hindsight that was probably too long. But as you should know by now, longer pays better. My stake ends in just a few days' time. For fuck's sake. I will have the opportunity to end stake and reap my rewards, or restake, and for the love of Christ. I must have bought the top, as I was down about 70% for the majority of my stake period. It was only closer to the end that things got mildly more interesting. It's been largely a rather dull experience. But I guess that's the point. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Tom, is it a scam? It's not a scam. But as I like to call it, it is scamfrastructure. It's a word that I've invented. Hex, as with numerous other crypto projects, has the potential to be a rug pull due to the questionable nature and activities of the origin address. Regardless of the questionable methods Richard used to bootstrap the Hex economy in the early phases, many would argue Vitalik did similar with Ethereum in the early days. Although Ethereum was not the subject of this particular investigation, Hex was. The question is not if Hex is a scam, but what are the risks of it becoming a scam? And I'd say the risks were much higher at the beginning of the project than now. And as with Ethereum, as more projects are launched upon it and it moves into the realm of infrastructure, supporting many other projects, the risks of any one central entity destroying it by rugging are somewhat diminished over time. And what of Richard? Brett the Hitman Hart himself. Richard is only interested in one thing as far as I can tell. Prestige. He has said it himself numerous times, and I imagine it's largely born out of his boredom and frustration with being so rich. He wants what cannot be bought. And indeed, amongst the majority of hexagons, he has already obtained this. How he continues to go about earning that prestige is what is becoming more and more questionable. Richard believes the only thing that matters in crypto is number go up. And he's right. But I'm becoming increasingly aware that there are more values to be derived from crypto than just getting rich. Namely, power and respect amongst one's peers. Exactly what Richard wants. Blockchain technology is often touted as empowering and democratizing through the removal of middlemen and the introduction of algorithms. But those algorithms are just code. Just a set of rules that someone somewhere has had to input into a computer with the intention of getting others, preferably en masse, to adopt those rules. Now, that would make the person or persons that launched the code upon the world de facto wannabe rulers. Rulers of their own tribe, kings amongst men. Richard shows many of the signs of wanting exactly these things. Now, the main reasons Richard argues for launching Pulse Chain is that the fees are unbearable for Hex users on Ethereum. The contract is just not compatible with the fees. He also blames the environment destruction of proof-of-work mining. However, both of those arguments seem somewhat inflated, as numerous ways already exist to use Ethereum without high fees. And the mining of Bitcoin destroying the planet, it's minuscule when compared to other assets that are traded all the time, namely precious metals and shiny stones that go into making, I don't know, expensive watches or fast cars and the like. At the start of this investigation, I reached out to Richard and told him my intentions to investigate Hex. Initially, he seemed enthusiastic, but just days later, he made it clear he would not be interested in continuing the conversation and had begun working with another documentary team made primarily up of hexagons. While Hex is scam-patable with common that's another word I invented, with common descriptions of Ponzi's and pyramids, it is a very clearly designed piece of code launched by Richard and members of his core tribe that many people across the world love to use every single day. It is just that, a set of rules that some people are invited to participate with and abide by. Nobody's forcing anybody to use Hex, but just like with any other cult of personality figures trying to kickstart their path to prestige, Richard would rather you didn't leave for at least 15 years. And as we know, in crypto, it's a lifetime. Cut.